Welcome to Tales in the Dark. I know many of you enjoy relaxing with these videos, so I recommend turning down the volume until my voice is barely audible. It'll make the experience even more soothing. Before you close your eyes, let me know in the comments where you're listening from. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you and enjoy listening. Story 1. In the hush of dawn, a soft breeze whispered through ancient pine trees, painting the morning with a tranquil melody. Each step along the winding mountain trail created a gentle rhythm, blending with the beating of a heart attuned to the natural symphony. The mist draped the forest like a gentle shroud, muffling all but the most delicate whispers of the wild. Solitude in nature had always been a sanctuary for me, a place of stillness and reflection. Yet, on this particular morning, a sense of mystery hung in the air, deepening the silence to a profound level. The usual chatter of birds was conspicuously absent, as if the mountain itself held its breath in anticipation. Carried in my backpack was an old leather journal, a relic from an estate sale that held cryptic tales of this very mountain range. Its pages chronicled the strange phenomena witnessed by an elderly naturalist who once called these lands home. He spoke of places where sound gathered like water in hidden valleys, where whispers traveled for miles with clarity, while loud voices dissipated into the air mere feet away. As I ascended, the mist thickened, enveloping me in a cocoon of silence, so complete that even my own footsteps seemed distant and muffled, as if belonging to someone else. The air grew heavier with each step, pressing gently against my ears, creating a subtle but persistent sensation. Pausing to drink from my canteen, the sound of swallowing reverberated strangely within me, as if the act itself resonated beyond mere hearing. The journal hinted at a clearing marked by weathered stones, where the silence was rumored to reach its most profound depths. The naturalist's writings spoke of the quiet that speaks, a concept shrouded in enigmatic descriptions that grew increasingly fragmented towards the end of his notes. As the trail curved around a colossal boulder, a circle of ancient stones came into view, standing sentinel amidst the trees. Wisps of mist wove between the stones in a hypnotic dance, the air within the circle utterly still, yet alive with subtle movement. Stepping into the heart of the stone circle, a shift in the atmosphere washed over me. The pressure in my ears intensified, not unpleasantly, but akin to a gentle immersion in warm water. The silence here pulsated with a peculiar vitality, as though it possessed a consciousness of its own, a listener waiting for its story to be told. No longer could I hear my own breath or the crunch of pine needles underfoot. Seating myself within the circle, leaning against one of the weathered stones, I opened the journal. The naturalist's final entry beckoned me. The silence reveals memories in whispers. Listen with more than your ears, and you shall hear what you need. Reading those words, a shift occurred in my perception. The silence acquired depth and texture, layers of unseen fabric intertwining in a dance of forgotten echoes. In that profound stillness, I discerned sounds that defied logic. Children's laughter in a distant schoolyard, the creak of my grandmother's rocking chair, the gentle patter of rain on a tin roof from long ago. These were not mere memories but living echoes, carrying with them scents, sensations, and tastes of moments long past. Hours slipped by unnoticed as I surrendered to the embrace of this living silence, where time held no dominion. When I finally opened my eyes, the sun had begun its descent, casting a feeble light that struggled against the eternal mist encircling the clearing. Standing up to depart, a subtle anomaly caught my eye. My shadow on the ground was not alone. Faint figures moved at the periphery of my vision, vanishing when directly confronted, yet lingering as a presence felt in the heart. A final scribble in the journal's fading ink read, "They are the guardians of silent realms, collectors of forgotten whispers. They seek not to harm, but to share their treasury with those who listen." Descending the mountain, the world's sounds gradually returned. The rustle of footsteps, the murmur of wind through branches, the distant melody of a lone bird. Yet a subtle resonance lingered within me, a whisper of the silence that had imprinted itself on my soul. In moments before slumber, I catch fleeting glimpses of those impossible sounds carried on silent breezes. And in the dead of night, when the world holds its breath, I sense the shadows at the edge of sight, patiently waiting to unveil their secrets to those willing to truly listen. The mountain conceals tales in its silence, narratives woven in the absence of sound. Though I've retraced my steps many times, that enigmatic clearing has eluded me. Perhaps it reveals itself solely to those who crave its whispered truths. Or perhaps, like the shadows and their hidden melodies, it exists in the liminal spaces where silence finds its voice. Story 2. The gentle autumn rain tapped softly against my window, creating a soothing melody that seemed to lull the world into a peaceful slumber. Nestled in my favorite armchair, cocooned in the cozy embrace of a woolen blanket, I watched as the darkness slowly enveloped the aging garden outside. The raindrops caught the fading daylight, shimmering like liquid silver as they trickled down the window pane. Amidst this tranquil moment, a peculiar sight caught my eye. A faint green light flickering between the ancient oak trees at the garden's edge. It swayed gracefully, resembling the gentle sway of an old lantern carried by unseen hands. Unlike the harsh glow of modern LEDs, this light possessed a soft, almost phosphorescent hue, reminiscent of fireflies on a balmy summer night. Mesmerized, I found myself drawn to this enigmatic glow, my gaze following its hypnotic dance through the rain-soaked trees. As the rain continued its melodic symphony, accompanied by the whisper of wind through the leaves, memories of my grandmother's tales about the garden's mystical inhabitants flooded my mind. Stories she would weave with her melodious voice, speaking of spirits that dwelled among the ancient trees. Though I had dismissed them as mere bedtime fables in my youth, the sight of that ethereal green light reignited a spark of childhood wonder within me. Rising from my chair, I pressed my palm against the cool glass, tracing the path of a raindrop with my fingertip. To my surprise, the green light seemed to respond, glowing brighter as it moved with purpose through the trees. It left behind a faint trail of luminescence, like a fleeting dream etched in the night. The grandfather clock's resonant chimes marked the hour, each toll reverberating through the silent house. With each chime, the green light pulsated in harmony, casting a spell-binding aura in the garden. Breath misting the window, I stood transfixed, witnessing the mesmerizing interplay of light and sound. Driven by a curiosity both familiar and foreign, I donned my raincoat, its weathered fabric carrying the essence of old books and hearth fires. Stepping outside, I found the rain had gentled to a mist, carrying the earthy perfume of wet soil and autumn foliage. The garden path felt different beneath my feet, each step accompanied by a soft squelch and the gentle percussion of water droplets from the branches above. Approaching the stationary green light, I discerned it was not a lantern but a luminous sphere hovering at chest height. Its edges blurred like a watercolor painting, casting mystical shadows that played tricks on the eye. A subtle warmth radiated from the sphere, not fiery or electric, but a natural warmth akin to the sun on spring soil. As raindrops hung suspended in the air around the sphere, time seemed to slow, each droplet capturing the emerald glow like tiny stars. The sphere beckoned, leading me deeper into the garden, its path winding through familiar yet altered surroundings. The air grew heavy with the scent of night-blooming flowers, their fragrance both sweet and exotic. Time lost its grip as I followed the sphere's ethereal guidance, guided only by the rhythmic rainfall and my own steady breath. Pausing occasionally, the sphere seemed to await my presence before continuing its enigmatic journey. In these moments of stillness, a faint echo of music filled the air, a haunting melody that stirred distant memories. Arriving at a hidden clearing, a weathered stone well stood at its center, adorned with moss and delicate ferns. The green light hovered above the well, illuminating intricate symbols etched into its ancient stone rim. These symbols seemed to shift and dance, emitting a soft luminescence that wove a tapestry of light and shadow. Descending into the well, the green light revealed glimpses of otherworldly colors below, blues, purples, and golds swirling in mysterious patterns. The sound of water took on a melodic quality, resonating from unfathomable depths that transcended the physical realm. Retreating from the well, the rain ceased, leaving a stillness in the night air as the garden held its breath in anticipation. Though the green light had vanished, the symbols on the well pulsed softly, synchronizing with my heartbeat. Returning to the house, guided by a path that seemed both timeless and fleeting, I felt a subtle shift within myself. The garden whispered secrets as I passed, the trees bowing in silent acknowledgement. Gazing back at the now empty well from my window, I pondered the mysteries unveiled that night. On quiet rainy evenings, a gentle green glow sometimes beckons from the shadows, a reminder of the enigmatic journey I undertook. In those moments, when rain and wind conspire to weave a veil of mystery, I sensed the presence of the unseen world just beyond reach. The well may never reappear in its original form, but the memory lingers, a testament to the transformative power of embracing the unknown. And so I sit by my window, attuned to the subtle whispers of the night, awaiting the next gentle dance of light and shadow in the ancient garden. Story 3. The soft patter of autumn rain graced my study windows, creating a gentle lullaby that enveloped the room in a soothing embrace. Amidst the shadows, illuminated by the warm glow of my antique desk lamp, I found myself immersed in the task of sifting through the treasures of generations past. This house, once belonging to my grandmother, now held not just its Victorian structure, but a legacy of memories that whispered through its walls. As I delved into a box of aged documents, my fingers stumbled upon a treasure unlike the rest. A weathered leather-bound journal bearing the familiar script of my grandmother. Pages filled with her meticulous notes on the house's upkeep led me to a particular entry that halted my breath. Found another door in the root cellar today. It shouldn't be there. The foundation plans show solid wall. The rain continued its melodic dance outside as I pondered her words, a sense of intrigue stirring within me. With a creak of my reading chair, I rose, the silence broken only by the quiet settling of old beams somewhere in the house. Bare feet padding silently on the carpeted floor, I made my way to the kitchen, drawn by a curiosity that beckoned me towards the cellar door. Its brass handle gleamed in the light above, a silent invitation to unravel the mystery that lay beyond. The key turned smoothly, the door swinging open to reveal a cool, earthy scent that whispered of memories long forgotten. Descending the wooden steps, my flashlight revealed familiar sights of the root cellar, stone walls, ancient shelves, and the lingering essence of bygone harvests. Yet, in the corner, a subtle anomaly caught my eye, a hint of difference in the texture of the stones. Tracing my fingers along the wall, I discovered a hidden seam that, with a gentle push, revealed a secret staircase leading into darkness. The steps, untouched by time, beckoned me with a warmth that carried the essence of summer gardens. My grandmother's journal had hinted at this hidden passage, leaving the mystery of its purpose shrouded in curiosity. Sitting on the top step, I surrendered to the enchantment of the unknown, the rain's melody fading into a distant hum that echoed through the staircase. Time seemed to stretch and bend in this space, each moment a languid dance of light and shadow. The descent felt effortless, the air shifting with a golden hue that wrapped me in a cocoon of tranquility. The walls, now alive with iridescence, whispered secrets of ages past, their vibrations a silent symphony that resonated in the stillness. As I descended further, The scent of flowers mingled with ancient earth, a harmonious blend that stirred memories of forgotten dreams. Reaching a landing adorned with cryptic writings that danced before my eyes, I felt a sense of reverence that urged me to pause. Another staircase spiraled downwards, but a silent intuition told me to linger, to absorb the mysteries that surrounded me. Returning to the surface, the cellar restored to its mundane reality, I closed the hidden door with a soft click, the rain's serenade a comforting backdrop to my thoughts. My grandmother's journal, now a beacon of wisdom, held a message veiled in faint ink. Some questions are answers in themselves. Some doors exist not to be passed through, but to remind us of what lies beyond our understanding. In the quiet of the night, as the house whispered its ancient secrets, I sometimes catch a fleeting scent of that warm, sweet air that once greeted me from below. And in those moments, I find solace in the twilight space between knowing and dreaming, where mysteries are not puzzles to solve, but whispers of the infinite. The journal rests in my drawer, a silent witness to the enigma of the hidden staircase. When the rain taps gently on the windows and the evening light bathes the room in a soft glow, I run my fingers over its weathered cover, feeling the weight of generations past and the promise of mysteries yet to unfold. For in that delicate balance between the known and the unknown, between reality and reverie, lies the true magic of existence, where questions fade into the ether and the heart finds peace in the embrace of the enigmatic. Story 4. The soft patter of rain against the ancient stone walls created a gentle lullaby that floated through the empty corridors of the majestic castle. Nestled in my temporary abode, I observed the raindrops meander lazily down the lidded glass panes, their journey illuminated by distant flashes of lightning. The flickering candlelight painted warm shadows on the walls, imbuing them with a lifelike quality that seemed to sway with the flames' dance. Having recently assumed the role of caretaker for this grand edifice, I arrived just before the autumn storms descended. The previous custodian had departed abruptly, leaving behind a weathered journal brimming with enigmatic musings and peculiar observations. Its pages exuded the musty aroma of age, tinged with a hint of something floral, perhaps lavender or dried roses, that lingered in the air each time I perused its contents. The castle itself stood as a testament to medieval craftsmanship, its weathered stones whispering tales of bygone eras etched into their rough surfaces. Time-worn tapestries adorned the walls, their hues muted but still recounting stories of ancient feasts and revelries. In the quiet interludes, when the wind hushed, faint echoes of past merriment seemed to drift through the corridors, carried on unseen currents. As the storm outside intensified, I noticed an unusual phenomenon in the shifting shadows within the grand hall. The candlelight seemed to catch on in tangible wisps, akin to smoke swirling through water. It evoked memories of an entry in the former caretaker's journal, describing what he cryptically termed the castle's breath. Initially dismissed as mere fancy, I now found myself intrigued by the notion. Descending the spiral staircase, my steps muffled by the plush carpeting, I ventured into the cooler depths of the castle. The air carried the earthy scent of its ancient foundations as I entered the expansive great hall, its towering ceiling vanishing into darkness above. Rain drummed a soothing cadence against the lofty windows, providing a tranquil backdrop to my exploration. Navigating through the hall, I discerned subtle variations in temperature, pockets of air slightly warmer or cooler than their surroundings. It was akin to walking through sunlit patches on an overcast day, yet here, devoid of sunlight, the phenomena puzzled me. Consulting the journal once more, I discovered references to these anomalies as the castle's breath, meticulously mapped out by the previous caretaker. The tapestries stirred gently, bereft of any discernible breeze. Approaching one depicting a medieval hunt, I sensed a watchful gaze upon me, not malevolent, but rather imbued with a curious scrutiny, as if the castle itself observed its new guardian. The journal chronicled similar encounters, growing progressively detailed in its descriptions of the castle's enigmatic behavior. Hours slipped by as I roamed the halls, penning my own observations alongside those of my predecessor. Despite the raging storm outside, a sense of profound peace enveloped me within the castle's walls. The thunder, instead of menacing, resonated like the tranquil exhalations of an ancient entity. Lightning briefly illuminated the stained glass windows, casting vibrant hues that danced across the stone floors. In the library, a remarkable revelation awaited. The former caretaker had noted that during powerful storms, the books would rearrange themselves in mysterious configurations. Tonight, I witnessed the leather-bound tomes subtly shifting on their shelves, their spines aligning in patterns that refracted the candlelight in unique ways. Rather than instilling fear, it felt akin to witnessing a clandestine performance, as if the castle shared a hidden secret with me. The grandfather clock told midnight, its resonant chimes reverberating through the silent chambers. With the last peal fading, I perceived another shift in the room's atmosphere. The air crackled with a charged energy, reminiscent of the moments preceding a summer shower, yet it settled into a comforting warmth that embraced me like a cocoon. Drawn to a corner of the library where the previous caretaker had devoted much of his time, I noticed the shadows weaving intricate patterns that almost resembled script on the walls. He had endeavored to decipher these ethereal messages, filling pages with plausible interpretations. As the night deepened, I too felt captivated by the castle's allure. In the journal's final entry, a poignant revelation unfolded. The castle doesn't unveil its secrets, it shares them, akin to a grandmother recounting tales to a cherished grandchild. Its mysteries are not meant for unraveling, but for experiencing, for immersing oneself within. Each night heralds new whispers, new patterns, new breaths of ancient air carrying vestiges of centuries gone by. As I commence my own journal entry, the storm's gentle onslaught against the castle persists. Shadows continue their mesmerizing waltz, tapestries subtly shift, and the air pulsates with a mysterious warmth. I realize that my purpose here transcends unraveling the castle's enigmas. Rather, it entails becoming a part of its ongoing narrative, infusing my essence into its ancient rhythms, joining the legion of souls who have tread these halls and felt the edifice's gentle, sentient presence. The flickering candle casts shadows that intermingle with mine on the walls. A soft creak in the distance hints at the castle turning yet another page in its eternal saga. Amidst the storm's embrace, I sense not merely a position or a dwelling, but a sanctuary within these living walls, where each night unveils new whispers of old lore, and every shadow harbors the promise of another tranquil mystery waiting to be shared. Story 5. The gentle patter of autumn rain against the ancient stonework echoed through the evening air, creating a soothing melody that wrapped around my grandmother's Victorian house. Inheriting the property just a fortnight ago, I found myself drawn to its quiet nooks and crannies every night, uncovering new enigmas within its time-worn walls. Tonight, seated in the library under the soft glow of a vintage brass lamp, my focus kept straying to a peculiar sound seeping from beneath the floorboards. It wasn't the usual creaks of aged wood or whispers of the wind. It held a distinct quality, akin to water flowing through ancient pipes, yet with a melodic undertone. My grandmother always spoke of the house holding secrets, but none as captivating as the old cistern hidden beneath its foundations. Constructed in a time when rainwater was essential, the underground chamber was said to be sealed off long ago. Yet as I listened to the enchanting tune rising from below, a curious thought crept in. Perhaps a fragment of it still lingered, veiled in the darkness. With each passing moment, the sound grew clearer, not louder, but sharper. It evoked memories of wind chimes underwater, a blend of muffled and crystalline notes defying logic in its existence. The rain outside intensified, and the mysterious resonance seemed to ebb and flow in harmony with the weather's cadence. I found myself wandering the ground floor, tracing the sound like a delicate thread through a labyrinth. My footsteps made no sound on the aged hardwood, and the familiar creaks of the house fell silent, as if it too was listening. The dancing shadows cast by the brass lamp made the floral wallpaper appear alive, breathing softly in the periphery of my vision. Beneath a worn rug in the kitchen, an unnoticed trapdoor revealed itself, adorned with a brass ring pull. The sound was more pronounced here, like a whispered dialogue just beyond comprehension. With trembling hands, not of fear but of anticipation, I lifted the ring, unveiling stone steps descending into darkness. The cool air wafting from below carried hints of mineral-rich water and ancient stone, reminiscent of forgotten wells and caverns. Step by step I ventured into the abyss, my lamp's amber glow absorbed by the very air. The walls, crafted with precision, spoke of a bygone era of skilled hands. Water trickled in the shadows, creating a symphony of intentional patterns. At the chamber's base, the cistern sprawled, its depths obscured by shadows beyond the lamp's reach. The water's surface mirrored the light, playing tricks on depth perception. Ripples danced without a visible source, capturing the light like liquid gold. Yet, it was the mesmerizing sound that held me in a trance. The chamber's acoustics turned each water droplet into a musical note, blending with the rain above to craft a symphony of delicate impacts. The water resonated with the chamber, creating harmonies that defied simple fluid dynamics. Amidst the enchanting music, whispers crept in, voices or memories, their meaning elusive, weaving tales that felt significant yet remained veiled. Languages almost recognized, stories on the brink of understanding, wove through the water's song. Time lost its grip in that underground sanctuary, measured by droplets and ripples rather than hours and minutes. The lamp's light dimmed unnoticed, as the darkness itself took on a life of its own, alive with shifting shapes and subtle movements. As I ascended the stone steps back to reality, the night had deepened, the rain ceased, and the mystical melody faded to a whisper. Concealing the trapdoor once more, I knew I would return. The cistern's song had become a part of the house's essence, a hidden symphony resonating eternally underfoot. Each night, as I lay in bed, I strained to catch that ethereal music, sometimes crystal clear, other times a faint whisper on the edge of perception. I've learned that not all mysteries are meant to be unraveled but experienced, felt in the quiet spaces between thoughts, in the intervals between raindrops. The cistern continues its perpetual performance, serenading an audience of stone and shadows. In dreams that blur the line between reality and imagination, I decipher words within the watery melody, messages from ancient epochs carried on rippling currents of sound. Yet the wisdom they hold, the forgotten stories they convey, remain just beyond reach, like grasping at the memory of rain. Story 6. The gentle flicker of candlelight waltzed across the time-worn wooden floors of the vintage shop, casting soft shadows that swayed in a mesmerizing dance. Rain tapped rhythmically against the Victorian windows, weaving a soothing melody that serenaded the tranquil evening air. Seeking refuge from the autumn storm, I found myself drawn into this peculiar establishment, where the warmth and the rich aroma of aged books and polished wood beckoned me to stay a while longer. Amidst the carefully arranged array of oddities, my gaze gravitated towards a portrait hanging in a shadowed alcove. The painting portrayed a young woman in a gown of deep blue, her features intricately captured with masterful artistry. Her skin possessed a porcelain-like luminescence, catching and reflecting the flickering candlelight, while her dark locks seamlessly melded into the shadowed backdrop. Yet it was her eyes that held me captive, deep pools of amber that seemed to possess an enigmatic depth, as if imbued with a forgotten technique that lent them an almost liquid quality. The shopkeeper, a silver-haired gentleman with wire-rimmed spectacles, noticed my fascination. His voice, velvety and measured, carried a hint of someone accustomed to weaving bedtime tales. "That portrait harbors a storied past," he whispered, adjusting his sleeve with care. "Crafted by an artist who vanished shortly after its completion. Rumor has it he toiled for years, perfecting a blend of pigments to capture the lifelike essence in those eyes." I found myself returning to the shop day after day, inexplicably captivated by the portrait. Each visit unveiled new intricacies: the graceful folds of her dress, the intricate detailing of her clasped fingers, the elusive smile that seemed to shift with every viewing angle. The shopkeeper would regale me with morsels of the painting's history, each narrative more captivating than the last. On a particularly hushed evening, with rain cascading down the windows like liquid silver, I noticed a peculiar occurrence. The woman's eyes seemed to track my movements through the room, not in the typical manner of a portrait, but with a subtle shimmer within the amber depths, akin to ripples on a tranquil pond. The candlelight caught these minuscule motions, creating fleeting glints that dissipated when I tried to focus directly on them. The shopkeeper materialized beside me, his voice barely a breath. "They say the artist was consumed by the pursuit of capturing true life within his creations, delving into ancient methodologies, experimenting with unconventional mediums. Some speculate he unearthed something extraordinary, or perhaps something best left undisturbed." As weeks drifted by, subtle alterations in the portrait began to reveal themselves. At times her countenance bore a gentler, contemplative air. Other moments, a hint of sorrow tinged the curve of her lips. These changes, so delicate, left me questioning their reality, wondering if they were a figment of my imagination, embellished by the shopkeeper's tales and the dreamlike ambiance of the candlelit emporium. One eve, I arrived to find the shop shrouded in an unusual darkness. The candles extinguished, only the muted glow of twilight filtering through rain-kissed panes. The shopkeeper was nowhere in sight. Standing before the portrait, a flash of lightning illuminated the room, and in that fleeting instance, I beheld the woman's eyes blink. A surge of wonder, not fear, quickened my pulse. The rain continued its gentle lullaby against the windows as I drew nearer to the painting. Her eyes had undergone a subtle metamorphosis, exuding a warmth and cognizance that defied the constraints of mere pigments on canvas. In the dimness, I could swear her chest rose and fell with a phantom breath. The shopkeeper's voice, soft as snowfall, drifted from behind me. "She reveals herself only to those who truly grasp her beauty," he murmured. "The artist didn't just capture her likeness, he ensnared something deeper, a realm that straddles the boundaries of art and reality." I never acquired the portrait, yet I frequented it without fail. Sometimes I would linger for hours in the plush armchair near the alcove, engrossed in a tome, while the woman in the painting observed with living eyes. The shopkeeper would bring tea, and we would share companionable silence, punctuated solely by the rustle of pages and the patter of rain. Years have drifted by, leaving me to ponder if it had all been a figment of my imagination. The subtle shifts in her expression, the fluidity in her eyes, the sensation of encountering something both exquisite and implausible. On tranquil nights when rain taps at my window, memories of the candlelit shop and the portrait that seemed to pulsate resurface. And sometimes, in that liminal space between wakefulness and slumber, I can sense her tender gaze trailing me through the shadows. Whispers persist that the painting remains ensconced in that shop, awaiting visitors attuned to the magic within those amber eyes. Some swear they've witnessed her smile transform or caught a flicker of movement within the canvas. Perhaps the true enchantment lies not in the portrait's vitality, but in those serene instants when we permit ourselves to believe in the inconceivable, suspended in a realm where art and reality meld like watercolors in the rain. Story 7. The wooden steps sighed beneath my weight as I ascended the ancient dwelling of the lighthouse keeper. the echoes of my presence mingling with the whispers of bygone days in the spiraling stairwell. Outside, the autumn breeze caressed the weathered walls, weaving a soft, melodic hum that seemed to harmonize with the very essence of the structure. It was my grandmother's letter that guided me to this peculiar place, where time flowed in mysterious currents, blurring the lines between reality and dreams. The air carried hints of aged books and sea salt, intermingled with the earthy aroma of rain-kissed wood. Tracing the intricate carvings on the mahogany banister on the third-floor landing, I felt the history etched into each groove, softened by the touch of countless hands before mine. As the evening light filtered through the tall, arched windows, elongated shadows pirouetted across the faded wallpaper, a silent ballet unfolding in the dimming twilight. Nestled in my coat pocket was my grandmother's final missive, its well-worn edges a testament to its repeated perusal. "The tower holds secrets," her graceful script whispered on the paper, "but they are secrets that beckon softly, that offer invitation rather than fear. When you're ready, dear one, follow the path of the leaning shadow. It will reveal forgotten truths." The topmost floor unveiled a circular chamber bathed in perpetual twilight. Dust motes danced lazily in the amber light filtering through the windows, casting halos around the carefully arranged furniture. A high-backed chair, a brass lamp on a small table, and walls adorned with enigmatic instruments whose purposes remained veiled. Yet it was the tower itself that captivated me, its tilted form defying logic against the darkening sky beyond the eastern window. Sinking into the embrace of the reading chair, the leather molded to my contours as if anticipating my arrival. The gentle glow of the brass lamp barely reached the room's edges, shrouding them in comforting shadows. Below, the building's settling whispers and creaks wove a soothing cadence, as if the structure itself drew breath. For 4 decades, my grandmother had dwelled here, both keeper of the light and guardian of the tower's enigmas. Locals spoke of her with reverence and awe, recounting tales of ethereal lights flickering in odd hours, of melodies drifting from unseen sources, of visitors departing with serene smiles, their newfound knowledge shrouded in silence. As the sun descended, a remarkable phenomenon unfolded. The tower's elongating shadow, cast by the setting sun, defied natural laws as it danced across the floor in a mysterious choreography. Rather than a steady progression, it traced a peculiar path, seemingly guided by an unseen hand. The shadow caressed a silver box on the mantel, grazed an ancient compass on the wall, and finally settled on an unassuming section of the paneling. Following my grandmother's cryptic instructions, I waited until the shadow aligned precisely with a hidden seam in the wood. With a gentle push, the panel swung inward, unveiling a narrow passageway spiraling upward into the heart of the tower. A warm breeze tinged with lavender, her beloved scent, wafted down the passage, guiding my ascent. Smooth stones lining the passage emitted a soft glow, illuminating the way with a gentle radiance. The walls bore shifting inscriptions, eluding my attempts to decipher their meaning. The tower's lean intensified as I climbed, yet a peculiar balance enveloped me, as if the slanted angle was the tower's natural state. Emerging into the upper chamber, I beheld a space seemingly larger than the tower's exterior dimensions. Windows framed vistas of varying landscapes, a tranquil sea at sunset, star-studded skies, and unfamiliar terrains. At the room's center stood a curious device, a fusion of astronomical instrument and music box, its metallic components gleaming in the mystic light. Beside it lay a leather-bound notebook filled with my grandmother's elegant script. "My dearest," the first page whispered, "you've reached the heart of it all. The tower awaited you, as it once awaited me and others before us. What lies before you is not just an instrument, but a key to unlocking the gentle mysteries that dwell in the spaces between moments, in the breath's pause, in the heart's silence." The subsequent pages held instructions unlike any I had encountered, poetic suggestions blending physics and dreams. They spoke of attuning to the instrument's movements, not through sight or touch, but by sensing its desires, by harmonizing with the tower's lean. As night enveloped the tower, comprehension dawned. The tilt of the tower was not a flaw, but a design, a conduit for capturing unseen currents of time and possibility. The instrument bestowed form upon these currents, not as quantifiable entities, but as ephemeral experiences meant to be felt and cherished. Hours melted into moments as I communed with the instrument, resonating with its rhythms, glimpsing fleeting scenes through the windows, a youthful figure resembling my grandmother, children frolicking in a vanished garden, ships navigating starlit seas. With the night's passage came a profound serenity. I grasped why my grandmother had likened the tower's secrets to whispers, not shouts, knowledge to be absorbed rather than dissected. As dawn approached, I descended the spiral passage, re-entering the circular room bathed in the blush of morning light. The tower's shadow now gestured westward, heralding a new day, yet I knew it would resume its enigmatic dance with the night. Reclining in the reading chair, the night's revelations draped around me like a familiar cloak. The brass lamp cast a soft radiance, melding with the dawn's pastel hues seeping through the windows. In the distance, seabirds' cries mingled with the murmurs of the wind encircling the tower, carrying untold stories. My grandmother's letter assumed a new guise in my pocket, not a directive, but an introduction to a legacy unfolding. The tower would persist, leaning towards the heavens, embracing moments and mysteries in its graceful tilt, while I stood witness, adding my narrative to its repository of gentle enigmas. As the morning brightened, I lingered in the chair, attuned to the edifice's tranquil exhalations, sensing time's ebb and flow through the tower's slanted domain. There remained more to unveil, more to fathom. Yet for now, existence in this realm where reality bent to permit magic sufficed. For as my grandmother had inscribed, some secrets whisper rather than clamor, and the tower maintained its tender vigil, leaning eternally towards the sky, enfolding stories like stardust, imparting them to those receptive not merely with ears but with hearts. Story 8. The gentle patter of autumn rain against the weathered stone created a soothing rhythm, a natural lullaby in the deepening twilight. Standing before the ancient church, its spire reaching towards the thick evening mist, I found myself surrounded by a dance of fallen leaves swirling around my feet in slow, elegant spirals. The air was heavy with the scent of damp earth and aging wood, tinged with a hint of something ancient, something that spoke of forgotten prayers and silent bells. This was not a place I had intended to discover. My evening stroll had taken an unexpected turn as the rain began to fall, leading me down a winding path that somehow guided me to this sacred sanctuary, existing in its own timeless realm. The church's weathered facade bore the gentle marks of countless seasons, adorned with a soft blanket of moss that seemed to emit a faint, ethereal glow in the gathering dusk. As I pushed open the heavy wooden door, it yielded with surprising ease, releasing a low, melodious sigh that reverberated through the empty nave. The sound of the rain outside transformed into a distant lullaby, adding to the profound silence within. Stained glass windows, their colors muted by the dimming light, cast feeble pools of amber and violet hues across the worn stone floors. Moving deeper into the church, my footsteps whispered against ancient flagstones, each step echoing through the crystalline stillness that permeated the air. The wooden pews stretched out before me, their surfaces smoothed by generations of hands and prayers, bearing witness to a legacy of devotion. The aroma of old wood and stone mingled with traces of long-extinguished candles, creating a tapestry of scents that enveloped me in a comforting embrace. In the encroaching darkness, intricate carvings adorned the walls and columns, their faces and figures seeming to shift and morph with each passing glance, their expressions oscillating between tranquility and enigma. Near the altar, a solitary candle flickered in a brass holder, its dancing shadows leading my gaze towards a small wooden door nestled into the wall. Though unassuming, there was a subtle allure about it that beckoned me forward with gentle insistence. Stepping through the door, I found myself on a spiral staircase ascending into darkness. Each worn step bore the imprint of countless feet that had trodden this path before me, worn smooth by the passage of time. The rain outside grew louder, its rhythm evolving into a melodic symphony that harmonized with the cool, fresh night air enveloping me, carrying hints of something sweet and ancient that eluded my grasp. Emerging into the bell tower's small chamber, moonlight filtered through narrow windows, casting silver pathways across the floor despite the lingering rain clouds outside. In one corner stood an old wooden desk strewn with leather-bound books and yellowed papers, their handwritten texts just beyond the edge of decipherability, no matter how intently I strained to read them. As I drew nearer to the desk, the delicate chime of bells filled the air, a celestial harmony that seemed to emanate from every corner of the chamber. The great bell above remained motionless, its bronze surface reflecting the enigmatic moonlight that bathed the room in a mystical glow. The ethereal sound infused the air with a profound tranquility, transcending time and space. Lost in the timeless chamber, I found myself seated in an ancient wooden chair, observing the slow ballet of shadows and moonbeams across the floor. The phantom bells intertwined with the rain's melody, weaving a symphony that spoke of ancient enigmas and forgotten reveries. At times, fleeting movements caught the periphery of my vision, the rustle of robes, the whisper of spectral shadows that defied explanation. The papers on the desk rustled sporadically, devoid of any discernible breeze. Fragmented sentences hinted at the fluidity of time, the existence of moments beyond conventional understanding, and prayers that resonated throughout the fabric of reality. My watch, frozen at midnight, bore witness to the timelessness of the chamber where darkness held sway in a perpetual embrace. The raindrops fell in intricate patterns, lingering in the air before dissipating, creating ephemeral shapes that teased the boundaries of perception. The stillness of the chamber pulsed with a quiet vitality, every shadow pregnant with untold narratives, every silence pregnant with unspoken truths. The veil between wakefulness and dreams blurred, inviting a serene dissolution that fostered a deeper connection with the ancient wisdom permeating the air. Occasionally, as moonlight bathed the walls in its silvery glow, elegant script materialized on the stone, flowing like liquid before fading into obscurity. These inscriptions left traces of tales in my mind, narratives of past visitors who had wandered into this mystical realm, each adding a thread to the intricate tapestry of the church's enigma. Time lost its grip within that sacred space, flowing like honey, sweet, languid, and unhurried. The peace of the chamber seeped into my very being, replacing urgency with tranquil acceptance. Descending the spiral staircase, the single candle by the altar burned steadfastly, illuminating the nave in a soft pre-dawn light that seemed to emanate from an ethereal source. As I stepped outside, the morning draped in a gentle mist, the rain having ceased during my sojourn within. Glancing back at the church, I thought I glimpsed ancient faces in the windows, benevolent spirits smiling with knowing grace before fading into the morning's embrace. Despite my attempts to return, the elusive path to the church eluded me. Yet on quiet, rainy evenings, the distant chime of silver bells carried on the wind, a reminder of the timeless sanctuary awaiting those drawn by the allure of falling rain and the secrets whispered by ancient stones. Story 9. The gentle embrace of twilight draped over the weathered stone walls like a whisper of lavender silk. At the threshold of the forsaken monastery, I stood in silent awe as the evening mist weaved through the ancient arches, carrying the delicate fragrance of wild roses that had intertwined with the aged stones, A hushed serenity enveloped the air, signaling the imminent arrival of nightfall, a time when even the fluttering birds seemed to hold their melodies in anticipation of the dark's embrace. My purpose in this sacred ruin was to capture its haunting beauty through the lens of my camera, drawn by the tales of its mystical allure. The weight of my camera hung snug against my chest, a familiar anchor amidst the unfamiliarity of this ancient place. Sunlight's final rays streamed through shattered windows, casting elongated shadows that gracefully danced upon the worn floor. Each footfall reverberated softly through the empty corridors, harmonizing with the gentle rustle of leaves stirred by the evening breeze. The monastery, standing steadfast for centuries, bore witness to unspoken prayers and murmured confessions. Now, reclaimed by nature, ivy embraced the stone walls with tenderness, while moss carpeted the floors in a lush emerald embrace. Venturing deeper into the labyrinthine structure, I noticed a gradual drop in temperature, a subtle chill despite the warmth of the summer evening. The air carried a dampness that caused the stone walls to glisten under the glow of my camera's flash. The quality of light within these ancient walls captivated me, lingering in certain corners beyond the constraints of physics, bending around pillars in defiance of logic. A particular corridor beckoned to me, adorned with remnants of ancient frescoes that clung to the walls like fading memories. The figures within the paintings seemed to shift subtly in my peripheral vision, an illusion dispelled when I turned to face them directly. As twilight deepened, a peculiar aspect of the whispering wind caught my attention. The breeze did not meander aimlessly as one might expect. Instead, it flowed with intention, like unseen fingertips caressing the stone surfaces. At times, its soft murmur almost resembled a language just beyond my comprehension, teasing the edges of my understanding. Setting up my tripod within what appeared to be the main chapel, I readied my camera for long exposure shots as daylight waned. Despite the decay that surrounded me, the space retained an aura of reverence. Fragments of stained glass clung to their frames, casting intricate patterns on the floor when illuminated by my flash. As I adjusted my camera settings, a subtle harmony in the ambient sounds enveloped me. The wind's whispers grew more defined, weaving through the ruins like a melody, a symphony of nature's breath. The scent of roses intensified with each gust, intermingling with the earthy aroma of ancient stone and moss. In a trance-like state, I swayed gently, entranced by the rhythmic interplay of sound and scent that enveloped me. Through the camera's lens, I observed shadows pooling in unusual configurations, moving with a life of their own in response to the wind's ethereal touch. Night descended further upon the monastery, the temperature plummeting as my breath materialized in wispy clouds, a spectral dance in the chilled air. The wind's whispers grew urgent, carrying a faint echo of my name woven within its currents, a whispered entreaty that seemed to emanate from the very heart of the ruins. Compelled by an unseen force, I ventured deeper into the labyrinth, my camera clicking incessantly, capturing images that seemed to transcend mere mortal sight. Moonlight cascaded through the fractured ceiling, casting elusive shadows that morphed into almost recognizable forms, like apparitions glimpsed through a watery veil. Within what appeared to be the monastery's library, vacant shelves lined the walls, their aged wood imbued with a sense of antiquity. Here, the wind's voice resonated most clearly, flipping invisible pages in an unseen tome, carrying whispers that tantalized on the edge of comprehension. The shadows deepened, pulsing softly with each breath of wind, as if concealing ancient secrets within their velvety depths. Framing a final shot, capturing the interplay of moonlight and emptiness, I closed my eyes and surrendered to the symphony of the wind's song. When I opened my eyes, I perceived a shift in the darkness surrounding me. The shadows no longer lay dormant. They teemed with life, offering glimpses into realms beyond our own. The wind's melody crescendoed, resonating within my very core, though the air remained eerily still. Peripheral visions flickered with movement, phantom figures gliding amidst the bookshelves, vanishing as quickly as they appeared. Reluctantly gathering my equipment, I retraced my steps through the ruins, the wind's whispers now tinged with a bittersweet farewell. At the monastery's threshold, I turned back for a final glance. In the moon's silvery glow, the ruins shimmered as if suspended between worlds, a fleeting moment captured in eternity. Reviewing the photographs later revealed only crumbling stone and enigmatic shadows. Yet in the dead of night, when the wind weaves its haunting melody outside my window, echoes of that otherworldly song brush against my consciousness. In dreams, I return to those moonlit ruins where the wind divulges its age-old secrets to those willing to listen. In moments of solitude, I ponder the animated shadows and the spectral whispers, mysteries that elude rational explanation. Perhaps some enigmas are meant to dwell in the twilight realm between reality and fantasy, between the known and the intangible. The monastery endures, a silent sentinel whispering to the wind its timeless tales. Oftentimes, I contemplate a return, lingering in the ancient library until shadows deepen and whispers stir anew. Yet a sense whispers to me that the essence of that fateful night cannot be revisited, existing solely in memory, in dreams, and in the narratives we weave when darkness descends and the wind speaks in voices that beckon to the soul. Story 10. The wind whispered softly through the autumn leaves, carrying a blend of rain-soaked soil and aging flowers. Nestled in my grandmother's old rocking chair, enveloped in a cozy wool blanket, I observed as the evening mist painted my backyard in a veil of mystery. The rhythmic creaking of the chair on the wooden porch boards mirrored my steady breaths, lulling me into a tranquil state. My gaze wandered to the ancient hedge that stood sentinel at the edge of my land, a formidable barrier of thorny branches reaching towards the sky, concealing its secrets behind a curtain of dense foliage. My grandmother's tales wove around this hedge, claiming it to be as ancient as time itself, safeguarding something precious beyond its grasp. In my youth, I embraced these stories as whimsical fantasies, akin to fairies frolicking under moonbeams or shadows whispering hidden truths. The evening air carried a faint hint of roses, a perplexing scent considering my garden bore none of these blooms. As twilight descended, the aroma intensified, a sweet perfume reminiscent of the dried rose petals tucked away in grandmother's jewelry box. My eyelids grew heavy, entranced by the symphony of water droplets cascading from the leaves, creating delicate ripples in the forming puddles below. A soft, warm light flickered at the corner of my eye, emanating from beyond the hedge. Unlike the harsh glare of security lights or modern LEDs, this light exuded a golden radiance, akin to honey kissed by the sun. It pulsed gently, as if breathing, dancing amongst the thorns like a hidden whisper. Mesmerized, I rose from the chair, the blanket slipping unnoticed to the porch floor. Barefoot, I traversed the damp grass, each step sinking into the earth's embrace. Drawing closer to the hedge, intricate details emerged from the shadows. Crystal clear droplets adorned the thorns, capturing and reflecting the enigmatic golden light. Midnight blue roses, unseen earlier but now revealed, nestled amongst the thorns, their petals an otherworldly hue. Standing before the hedge, a newfound sight arrested my gaze. A slender opening amidst the branches, a natural archway beckoning entrance. The thorns parted, as if welcoming me to a different realm. Through the gap, the golden light spilled, casting elongated shadows at my feet. Peering through the opening, I glimpsed a garden unlike any other. In stark contrast to my practical backyard, this space defied nature's laws. Flowers bloomed vibrantly, defying the autumn chill. Vines with leaves akin to stained glass wound around ancient stone pillars, out of place in a residential setting. Fragrances wafted through the gap, night-blooming jasmine, rain-kissed stone, and an elusive scent, ancient and evocative, akin to forgotten tales or memories buried in time. My heart beat steadily, not with fear but with a profound sense of wonder, reminiscent of the tales grandmother spun in my youth. Reaching out to touch a midnight blue rose, I anticipated the cool touch of mist-kissed petals. Instead, warmth greeted my fingertips, as though the rose had basked in eternal summer. At the touch, a soft melody drifted through the hedge, ethereal and indistinct, like a half-remembered dream's tune. The golden light pulsed anew, casting shadows that moved in the garden beyond. Not ominous forms, but graceful movements, akin to dancers swaying to a distant melody. Each shadow left behind trails of soft light, akin to fireflies painting ephemeral patterns in the dark. Swaying involuntarily, my body responded to the phantom melody, the thorny archway seeming to widen, inviting passage. Logic whispered that such phenomena were impossible. Hedges don't part like stage curtains, and gardens don't aglow with mystic light. Yet, grandmother's wisdom echoed in my mind, hinting at truths veiled by impossibility. Water dripped in a melodic cadence from the leaves above, harmonizing with the elusive melody beyond the hedge. Time stretched, thick and sweet as honey, as mist caressed my feet, guiding me forward. A warm breeze carried the scent of roses, now intertwined with vanilla and cedar, urging me towards the opening. Shadows continued their ethereal dance, familiar shapes teasing the corners of my vision. Grandmother's favorite dress, her storytelling gestures, the magic she revealed in everyday moments. The golden light pulsed once more, enveloping the hedge in a shimmering aura, the gap a silent invitation, neither urging nor deterring. Stood amidst the damp grass, night deepening around me, the mundane world faded, leaving only the symphony of falling water, the warm glow beckoning beyond the hedge, and the eternal dance of shadows in that fantastical garden. My hand remained outstretched, caressing the warm petals of the midnight blue rose. The decision to step through the gap lingered, unanswered, akin to the mist swirling around my feet. Perhaps the true enchantment lay not in crossing the threshold, but in acknowledging its existence, where reality meets the mystical, where childhood fantasies blend with truth. A smile graced my lips, comprehension dawning. Some gardens are meant to be glimpsed but not fully explored, their mysteries preserved like pressed flowers in memory's pages. The hedge held its secrets, as it had for generations, yet now, their presence known, concealed behind thorns, dancing in golden light to the melody of rain. Story 11. The soft patter of rain against worn wooden shingles filled the night air as I settled into my newfound abode. An aging Victorian manor, its history veiled in secrecy, stood tall yet somehow aloof from the world outside. The real estate agent had been cryptic about its past, offering only a remarkably low price and vague responses to my inquiries. Through the towering windows, I observed as autumn leaves twirled across the neglected garden, their rustling harmonizing with the rhythmic drumming of raindrops. The cozy glow of my reading lamp cast elongated shadows on the vintage wallpaper, forming patterns that appeared to shift and transform when glimpsed from the corner of my eye. The house came furnished to some extent, albeit devoid of any personal items left behind by its previous inhabitants. No family photos, no letters, no remnants of the lives once lived within these walls. The furniture itself was exquisite, intricate wooden pieces that seemed to belong to diverse eras, as if gathered across centuries rather than mere decades. As I sank deeper into the plush armchair beside the crackling fireplace, a peculiar sensation enveloped me. The house felt both known and foreign, like a recurring dream where the details never quite align with reality. The flickering flames of the fireplace cast a warm glow around the room, their light bouncing off the crystal chandelier suspended from the ceiling, creating iridescent patterns that danced across the walls. The grandfather clock in the hallway chimed 9 times, its deep tones resonating through the vacant corridors. Yet there was something off about its chime, as if the sound reached my ears through a thick mist. I found myself instinctively counting the chimes, although I couldn't recall winding the clock since moving in. A gentle breeze whispered through the room, though all windows were securely shut against the autumn chill. The flames in the fireplace flickered, casting fleeting shadows that seemed to morph into shapes just beyond recognition. The aroma of old books and aged wood wafted through the air, intermingled with something sweeter, like dried flowers preserved between ancient pages. I rose from the chair, compelled to explore the numerous rooms of the house. Each doorway led to spaces that defied the manor's external dimensions. The library, with its towering shelves and sliding ladder, housed volumes in unknown languages, their spines adorned with symbols instead of letters. Running my fingers along their leather bindings, I felt a subtle warmth, as if the books themselves were alive with forgotten wisdom. The kitchen, with its copper pots hanging from iron racks and massive hearth, seemed frozen in time. Modern appliances sat incongruously among 19th century cooking tools, like out-of-place intruders in a historical setting. The marble countertops bore faint stains that shifted in color with the light's angle, forming patterns reminiscent of celestial maps. Ascending the spiral staircase to the second floor, each step emitted a distinct musical note, weaving an eerie melody that seemed to follow me. The smooth wooden banister beneath my palm felt worn by countless hands that had come before mine. Yet upon reaching the landing, I realized I couldn't recall how many steps I had climbed. The upstairs hallway extended longer than seemed feasible, lined with doors that never seemed to be in the same position upon a second glance. Paintings hung amidst the doors, depicting landscapes of fantastical realms. Mountains curving impossibly towards violet skies, forests where trees grew sideways, oceans appearing to flow upwards. In the master bedroom, moonlight filtered through delicate lace curtains, casting intricate patterns on the hardwood floor. The imposing four-poster bed dominated the room, its rich burgundy drapes gently stirring despite the absence of any draft. The mirror above the vanity reflected the room flawlessly, except for fleeting moments when the reflection seemed to lag slightly behind my movements. Upon opening the closet door, I discovered a space that felt deeper than the house's exterior suggested. Empty hangers swayed gently, emitting a soft, melodic tinkling from their metal hooks. At the closet's far end, barely visible in the darkness, stood another door, smaller, crafted from dark wood with a brass handle gleaming invitingly. I found myself drawn to that handle time and again during my initial weeks in the house, yet never quite reaching out to grasp it. Each time I approached, the air thickened with the scent of rain-soaked earth and something else, something ancient and profound, deeper than petrichor. The basement door remained locked, with no key discovered among the ring that accompanied the house. Occasionally, late at night, faint sounds would drift up through the floorboards, not alarming noises, but akin to distant music played on unfamiliar instruments. The melody felt familiar, though I knew I had never heard it before. Time within the house's confines began to behave oddly. Some evenings stretched into what felt like days, while entire weeks seemed to slip by in mere hours. The grandfather clock continued its irregular chiming, but I noted it never struck midnight. The hours between 11 and 1 elongated like warm taffy, filled with the gentle sounds of settling furniture and creaking floorboards that almost formed whispered words. The house appeared to respond to my moods. On somber days, the rooms felt cavernous, the ceilings towering high, as if providing space for my melancholy to dissipate. During joyful moments, the walls seemed to draw nearer, creating snug corners perfect for reading or contemplation. The temperature would subtly shift, maintaining an ideal comfort without any adjustment to the thermostat. Visitors were infrequent, and those who did come seldom stayed for long. They would grow silent after a few minutes. their gazes darting to dimming corners without discernible reason. Conversations would taper off abruptly, giving way to contemplative silence. Upon departure, guests often struggled to recall specifics about their visit, as if the house itself had gently erased their memories. My dreams intensified, filled with visions of the house across various eras. I witnessed it new, its wood gleaming and fresh. I saw it ancient, adorned in vines blooming with flowers that no longer existed. I beheld it in seasons that never came to pass, beneath skies holding multiple suns. Each morning I awoke uncertain whether I had dreamt at all, or if the house had simply shared its memories with me. One particularly tranquil evening, as I sat in the library attempting to decipher one of the cryptic books, I caught sight of my reflection in the window. Behind me, the room appeared altered, the furniture rearranged, the walls painted a different hue, the shelves filled with diverse volumes. When I turned to look, everything was as it should be, yet the reflection maintained its alternate reality. I began to grasp that the house existed in multiple times simultaneously, like layers of a book stacked upon each other. Occasionally, the pages would shift, offering glimpses between them. The house hadn't shed its past. It had merely accumulated too many to exist solely in one present. Now, as I pen these words by candlelight, though the electricity functions perfectly well, the house seems to prefer softer illumination. I sense the weight of countless untold tales gently brushing against my consciousness. The rain continues its soothing rhythm on the roof, accompanied by the irregular chimes of the grandfather clock and the murmured dialogues of vacant chambers. I've ceased trying to fathom why the house chose me, or why the previous owners vanished without a trace. Some mysteries I've come to realize are more beautiful when left unsolved. The house guards its secrets, revealing them only in fragments, in dreams, in moments when the light cascades just right across the aged wooden floors. Perhaps someday, I too will meld into the house's tapestry of memories, becoming another stratum in its infinite history. Until then, I linger here, attuned to the tranquil music of a house that exists beyond time, deciphering books in languages that may never have existed, and mastering the silent language of rooms that retain everything, yet divulge nothing. The grandfather clock chimes once more, an hour unseen, and somewhere within the house, a door opens to a room that didn't exist yesterday. I smile, knowing it will vanish when sought, only to reappear when forgotten entirely. This is home now, in all its implausible moments, in all its untold narratives, in all its pasts that never were, and futures that may yet be. Story 12. The soft patter of rain against my window had been my companion throughout the night, blending harmoniously with the distant serenade that had beckoned me to this secluded cabin, the enchanting singing waterfall. Nestled in my cozy armchair, draped in a comforting woolen blanket, I surrendered to the captivating melody that seemed to waft through the misty night air. Local lore had spoken of the waterfall's mystical song, a tale filled with wonder rather than foreboding. They spoke of how the music shifted with the moon's phases, how it carried ancient whispers to those who dared to truly listen. Initially dismissing these stories as mere folklore, I now found myself immersed in the spellbinding reverence that surrounded this natural marvel. As the rain continued its gentle rhythm against the cabin walls, I sat by the crackling fire, its warm glow casting dancing shadows across the rustic wooden floors. The fragrance of pine and damp earth drifted in through the cracked window, mingling with the forest's crisp essence. Tonight, a subtle change infused the waterfall's song. The familiar melody now bore hints of words, as if attempting to convey a specific message. Leaning forward in my chair, I strained to decipher the aqueous whispers that floated on the evening breeze. The nearly full moon intermittently peeked through the rain clouds, illuminating the room with silver light, revealing shadows that seemed to move in sync with the waterfall's tune. Beside me, my weathered journal lay open, its pages filled with attempts to capture the elusive melody. Each night the notes seemed to shift, evolving as if the song itself were a living, breathing entity. Tonight's page remained blank, my pen forgotten as I became entranced by the evolving composition. A subtle chill crept into the room, a refreshing coolness that belied any sense of threat. The mist outside thickened, pressing against the window inquisitively, forming shapes that hinted at ancient symbols or ghostly faces. Midnight approached, marked by the gentle chime of my grandfather's old pocket watch, and the waterfall's song reached a new level of clarity. The music wove itself into words just beyond comprehension, a language akin to a forgotten dream. The mist outside took on a gentle luminescence, casting a pearl-like glow into the room. Compelled by an unspoken urge, I rose from my chair, the blanket slipping soundlessly to the floor. The wooden floor hummed beneath my feet as I approached the window, drawn toward the radiant path leading to the waterfall. Normally shrouded in darkness, the path now glowed with a silvery light, tiny luminous orbs dancing in perfect harmony with the melody. The rain had abated to a soft drizzle, each drop capturing and refracting the mysterious light. The very air seemed to sing, the waterfall's melody resonating through every particle of moisture in the night. It was a mesmerizing experience, imbuing me with a profound sense of tranquility and connection to something ancient and wise. Without conscious volition, I gathered my coat and boots, preparing for a midnight sojourn. Though my mind cautioned against such a venture, the compulsion felt more like a courteous invitation than a forceful demand. Stepping onto the porch, I was enveloped by the song, the mist swirling around me as if guided by unseen hands. The path before me shimmered like a celestial ribbon, leading me into the forest with a familiarity that defied logic. The nocturnal forest, typically a realm of shadows and mystery, now resembled an enchanted garden. Trees leaned away from the path, their branches swaying in harmony with the waterfall's serenade. Water droplets cascaded from their leaves like musical notes, adding to the symphony that enveloped me. Approaching the waterfall, the song deepened, resonating within my very being. The mist thickened, revealing fleeting scenes and memories not my own, fragments of distant places and times. The cascade gradually unveiled itself through the glowing haze, each droplet capturing the ethereal light like suspended gems. Standing at the water's edge, I watched the liquid melody cascade in a hypnotic rhythm. The words within the song remained just beyond comprehension, yet their essence resonated within my soul. A gentle breeze stirred the mist, and for a fleeting moment, I beheld forms within the falling water, not spirits, but embodiments of music itself. Lost in timelessness, I witnessed the dance of water and light, transcending earthly boundaries. The moon completed its celestial journey, the night passing unnoticed as I stood entranced by the waterfall's symphony. The rain had ceased, yet the air remained pregnant with enigma. As dawn approached, the melody softened, akin to a fading lullaby. The luminescent mist dispersed, the mystic lights along the path dimming gradually. Following their faint glow, I retraced my steps to the cabin, the echoes of the song lingering in my wake. Returning to the cabin, I found my journal open to a blank page. Instead of transcribing musical notes, I chronicled every detail of my surreal experience. With the rising sun, the room reverted to its familiar state, yet an indefinable shift had occurred. Night after night, I still hear the waterfall's song, though it never reaches the clarity of that one extraordinary evening. Occasionally, when the moon is full and the rain whispers just right, I glimpse echoes of that ethereal luminescence, shadows of enigmatic figures dancing within the falling water. The mist still weaves cryptic patterns, and the path intermittently glows in the night. The true nature of that night's revelation remains elusive, akin to the enigma of the waterfall's song itself. Perhaps some mysteries are meant to be experienced rather than fully understood, cherished for their unfathomable essence. Thus, I remain in the cabin, a listener to the water's timeless melody, a chronicler in my journal, forever pondering the hidden secrets within the music of cascading waters and the dance of light through mist. Story 13. Amidst the ancient forest, a gentle breeze carried the earthy fragrance of pine and damp moss, guiding me along the meandering path under the twilight sky. As dusk embraced the land, painting the horizon in hues of lavender and deep blue, I held a wooden lantern whose flickering light danced playfully on the mossy ground, casting whimsical shadows that seemed to sway with each step I took. Hours slipped away as I wandered, seeking solace within the whispers of nature's secrets. Yet on this particular night, a subtle shift lingered in the air, a hushed stillness that wrapped the woods in an enigmatic embrace. Even the night's chorus of crickets sang in muted whispers, as if sharing in the forest's silent anticipation. Venturing deeper into the heart of the woodland, my gaze fell upon a peculiar sight ahead. A collection of trees whose branches had intertwined over centuries, creating a natural canopy that sheltered a hidden alcove. A sense of wonder halted my steps. In all my wanderings through these ancient woods, I had never stumbled upon this enchanting grove. Drawing closer, I marveled at the intricate weaving of branches, forming archways and corridors that evoked the grandeur of a forgotten palace sculpted by nature's hand. The bark, smooth in unexpected places, bore etchings of spirals and curves, as if telling tales of time and wind, or perhaps something more mysterious. Stepping beneath the woven canopy, a shift in ambience greeted me. The air grew warmer, carrying a faint, sweet essence that eluded my senses. It whispered of honey and ancient tomes, tinged with an exotic allure that stirred memories not yet lived. My footsteps, now echoing with a hollow timber, seemed to tread upon wooden floorboards rather than forest soil. Curious artifacts adorned the shelter. Specks of colored glass nestled like captured stars, and delicate fragments of what seemed to be aged parchment interwoven amidst the branches, as though part of nature's own tapestry. Further exploration unveiled subtle anomalies, a gradual rise in temperature, a shift in light quality that bathed the space in a greenish glow. Mysterious patterns etched into the wood, intricate knots and shapes that defied logic yet felt strangely organic, as if the trees themselves had chosen this peculiar form of growth. A soft melodic hum resonated through the grove, its source hidden within the very essence of the wood, pulsing like a heartbeat from the earth below. A secluded alcove beckoned, formed by 3 trees in perfect harmony, their branches creating a natural seat and table adorned with curious trinkets. Smooth stones arranged in cryptic patterns, exotic dried blooms, and ancient coins bearing symbols of unknown origin. Nightfall enveloped the shelter, unveiling a ballet of shadows that danced with a life of their own. Soft lights flitted between the branches, their movements purposeful and precise, casting a mesmerizing spectacle that defied explanation. Lost in this realm of wonder, I noticed intricate details that blurred the lines between nature's design and something more profound. Branches shaped into intricate symbols, a soft breeze carrying distant chimes without a visible source, and a sense of harmony that transcended the ordinary. The shelter pulsed with a subtle energy, a symphony of whispers and light that wove a tapestry of dreams around me. Seated upon the natural chair, the hum of the wood grew stronger, its rhythm lulling me into a trance-like state. Lights danced in mesmerizing patterns above, akin to celestial constellations on a cosmic journey. Time lost its grip within this sanctuary of mysteries, as reality melded with dreams in a seamless embrace. Shadows shifted, voices whispered in forgotten tongues, and a presence ancient and wise stirred within the grove's very essence. With the dawn's soft light filtering through the canopy above, I awoke from my reverie, the shelter transforming before my eyes into a mere memory, a fleeting dream fading with the morning mist. As I retraced my steps through the forest, the path to the grove seemed to dissolve, an ephemeral thread woven into the fabric of the woods, ever elusive yet hauntingly familiar. Though I return to the forest's embrace, the shelter remains a mirage, a sanctuary that reveals itself only in the realm of dreams and recollections that defy the boundaries of reality. A single leaf, twisted into an impossible shape, rested on the natural table beside me as a silent token of the grove's enigmatic presence. Its unfolding form mirrored the mysteries I had witnessed, a reminder of the intertwined branches that guard secrets beyond mortal understanding. And so, beneath the ancient boughs of the deep forest, the shelter continues its silent vigil, offering solace and wonder to those who seek its peculiar magic. A sanctuary woven of dreams and whispers, waiting patiently for the next traveler in need of its timeless embrace. Story 14, the soft murmur of wind among the autumn leaves, whispered a soothing melody as I wandered down the forest trail that evening. The air was tinged with the sweet, earthy fragrance of decay, fallen leaves mingling with the soil, mushrooms peeking out from hidden spots, and the fading aroma of summer blossoms yielding to autumn's embrace. As the setting sun cast long shadows through the trees, their branches stretched out like delicate fingers along my path. These twilight strolls had always brought me solace, a welcome reprieve after a day confined indoors. In the forest, silence held a different quality, a living hush filled with subtle sounds, a symphony of whispers and distant echoes. But on this particular night, there was a shift in the air. The usual chorus of crickets seemed hushed, as if awaiting something unknown in the deepening dusk. The first call of an owl pierced the fading light, a familiar, rolling hoot that resonated through the woods. Yet it was not the call itself that caught my attention, but the reply that followed, a second owl's response, its voice carrying an unfamiliar, enchanting melody. More voices joined in, creating a mesmerizing duet that made me pause in wonder. The owl's calls multiplied, intertwining in a harmony that defied natural explanation, filling the air with a mysterious, ethereal symphony. The temperature dropped, and a fine mist rose from the forest floor, swirling like ghostly tendrils in the growing darkness. Through the veils of mist, I noticed an eerie dance of shadows among the trees, moving with a life of their own, independent of the fading light. Time seemed to lose its grip on me, the steady rhythm of the owl's song becoming the only measure of passing moments. As the mist thickened, shapes began to form within it, elusive, indistinct forms that swayed and shifted in response to the haunting melody of the owls. They seemed to possess a grace that transcended the physical realm, a dance of shadows and light that spoke of ancient mysteries. I found myself swaying in harmony with the forest's pulse, enveloped by the cool mist that cloaked me like a gentle embrace. Despite the strangeness of the scene unfolding before me, there was no fear, only a deep sense of tranquility, as if I had stumbled upon a sacred ritual as old as time itself. The owl's song evolved, growing more intricate, weaving layers of sound that hinted at hidden meanings. The misty shapes drew closer, their movements revealing glimpses of distant realms, moonlit clearings, ancient trees, and stars with hues beyond description. Lost in this twilight realm, I felt myself guided along the path by the enchanting music, the misty dancers as my silent companions. Time slipped by, fluid and elusive, as I treaded the familiar yet altered landscape. As I neared the forest's edge, the mist began to dissipate, and the otherworldly chorus faded into the night, leaving behind a heavy silence pregnant with untold secrets. The owl's voices dwindled until only one remained, echoing softly through the darkness before fading into the night. Emerging from the woods, my watch suddenly sprang back to life, indicating only an hour had passed, though my experience suggested otherwise. The misty dancers had vanished, leaving behind the ordinary shadows of early evening. In the days that followed, I continued my evening walks, forever haunted by the memory of that mystical chorus and its spectral audience. Occasionally, on silent nights, I caught a faint echo of that ethereal harmony in the distance, or glimpsed a fleeting movement at the periphery of my vision. Yet the full symphony remained a dreamlike memory, more vivid than reality itself. The forest harbored its secrets, unveiling them only in the fleeting moments of perfect twilight, when the line between what is and what could be blurred. I still wander the forest paths at twilight, pausing to listen when the solitary owl calls out into the deepening night. And sometimes, just sometimes, I sense the beginning of an answer, a whisper of another dance between shadow and light, guided by the timeless song of the owls. Story 15. The soft patter of rain on my bedroom window stirred me from a deep sleep, its gentle rhythm a lullaby in the early morning darkness. Familiar and comforting, the raindrops held a new quality tonight, a mysterious whisper that urged me to pay attention. Intrigued, I rose from my bed, drawn to the window by an unseen force. Outside, the world was veiled in a thick fog, its ethereal glow transforming everyday shapes into enigmatic outlines. Amidst the mist, a faint blue light pulsed in the distance, barely discernible yet captivating. Wrapped in a warm sweater, I ventured outside, guided by the silent call of the light. The fog embraced me like a gentle tide, carrying the scent of salty sea air, though the ocean was miles away. Following the pulsing glow, the ground shifted beneath me, transitioning from solid earth to soft sand, unnoticed until grains slipped between my toes. The suburban landscape dissolved into endless dunes shrouded in mist, the rhythmic light leading me onward. Each pulse revealed fleeting glimpses of a massive silhouette forming, an ancient sailing ship, its weathered masts reaching into the darkness like spectral fingers. Time flowed differently in this surreal realm, each step simultaneously brief and eternal. The ship loomed ahead, elusive yet ever-present, as if part of the fog itself. Its sails fluttered in an unseen breeze, the wooden hull groaning with the weight of forgotten years. Footsteps in the wet sand echoed behind me, ethereal figures materializing then dissolving into the mist, their whispered tales of a ship traversing realms on nights of blurred reality and dreams. As I gazed at the phantom vessel, its details shifted and morphed, the figurehead transforming, the ship's size fluctuating with the pulsing light. Water crept around my feet, rising steadily until I stood in a tranquil pool mirroring the fog above. In the reflection, the ship appeared majestic and vibrant, its crew frozen in time, their tranquil faces illuminated by the haunting blue light. As the water receded, the ship faded into the mist, blending seamlessly with its surroundings, whispers merging with distant waves. Returning home, I found the familiar path altered, the beach stretching endlessly into the unknown. Yet guided by an instinctual compass, I navigated through the shifting landscape, the scent of rain replacing the sea air. In my room, I watched as dawn dispersed the fog. The blue light vanished without a trace. A piece of sea glass in my pocket, a relic of that mysterious night, a reminder of the ship that navigates the boundary between reality and imagination. On rainy nights, I glimpse the ethereal light in the distance, its whispers beckoning me to a world of endless possibilities, where the ship sails forever lost in the waves of what could be. Story 16. The ancient house took on a different air as daylight slipped away. Nestled in my grandfather's worn leather armchair, I observed the fading glow of the amber sun vanish from the horizon, leaving behind elongated shadows that waltzed across the creaking wooden floor. Raindrops tapped gently on the window panes, orchestrating a soothing melody that harmonized with the crackling of the fireplace. Inheriting this house 3 months prior, I found solace in its aged charm by day, yet the nights exuded an enigmatic essence that eluded my understanding. The atmosphere thickened with each passing hour, as if the darkness bore a tangible weight. The fragrance of aged books and cedar enveloped every nook, mingling with the earthy scent of rain-kissed soil seeping through the slightly askew window frames. My gaze drifted to the grandfather clock nestled in the corner, its rhythmic ticking slicing through time with unwavering precision. The brass pendulum swung hypnotically, casting fluid reflections on the dimly lit wallpaper. As drowsiness crept over me, an anomaly caught my eye at the window across the room, a detail overlooked in my previous nocturnal vigils. The rain cascading against the glass painted an unusual pattern, as if defying gravity by flowing sideways rather than downwards. I blinked in disbelief, questioning the reliability of my weary mind. The flickering firelight lent the glass a liquid-like quality, causing it to undulate ever so subtly, a movement foreign to glass. Rising from the chair, I approached the window with deliberate steps, my sock-clad feet soundless on the weathered floorboards. With each stride, I discerned peculiar nuances that defied logic. The frame, assumed to be crafted from the same dark wood as the others, possessed an iridescent sheen akin to moonlit mother-of-pearl. The glass itself felt peculiar under my touch, neither warm nor cold, yet somehow both simultaneously. Peering beyond the pane, the familiar garden with its overgrown roses and stone pathways had transmuted into a gentle, pulsating fog suffused with an inner luminescence. Within the mist, ethereal shapes ebbed and flowed, neither solid nor completely ephemeral, swirling in patterns reminiscent of half-forgotten dreams. The grandfather clock chimed 9, its sonorous toll resonating through the chamber. Each reverberation seemed to ripple through the ethereal fog outside the window, causing the nebulous forms to momentarily cease their spectral ballet. The rain's cadence heightened, now carrying whispers, not ominous or alarming, but soft murmurs akin to leaves rustling in a balmy breeze. Sinking onto the window seat, my reflection in the glass growing faint, I fixated on the mysteries unfolding beyond. The mist began to thin in patches, unveiling glimpses of what seemed to be another room, a room inconceivable outside this second-story window. Elegant furnishings, levitating books, and a mirrored window identical to the one before me teased my senses. The whispers intensified, though their meaning remained elusive, bearing the warmth of familiar voices conversing just beyond earshot. The rain's fragrance evolved into a complex melange, traces of vanilla, aged parchment, and a sweet floral essence that defied identification. The air surrounding the window thrummed with a gentle vitality, akin to the resonance following a bell's toll. Time seemed to bend as I lingered, the grandfather clock's ticking decelerating, each second elongating like honey trickling from a spoon. The mist's undulating forms coalesced into narratives, tales of bygone nights, former observers, and alternate windows. I glimpsed individuals who might have occupied my current position, their countenances tranquil and inquisitive, their outstretched hands mirroring my own against the glass. The dwindling fire cast elongated shadows that pirouetted across the window's surface, within which I discerned inscriptions materializing and fading, elegant calligraphy forming words in unfamiliar tongues that I inexplicably comprehended. They spoke of gateways and thresholds, of interstitial spaces, of chambers existing in the creases of reality. As weariness enveloped me, I struggled to keep my eyes ajar, fearful of missing the next enigmatic revelation. The mist continued its languid dance, occasionally parting to unveil tantalizing glimpses of the fantastical room beyond. At times I fancied detecting movement, billowing curtains, shifting shadows, perhaps even the silhouette of an individual seated in a chair akin to my grandfather's. The whispers morphed into a soothing lullaby, intertwining with the rain's symphony in a gentle cacophony. They seemed to divulge secrets, hidden locales, worlds poised just beyond the fragile barrier of glass. Drifting between slumber and wakefulness, between this chamber and that elusive realm, as my lids succumbed to gravity, I could not discern if reality or reverie. A soft click akin to an unlocked door, succeeded by the faintest creak of hinges. My final recollection was of a cool breeze carrying the redolence of ancient tomes and boundless potential. Upon awakening at dawn, ensconced once more in my grandfather's chair, a forgotten blanket draped over me, the window appeared unremarkable, revealing solely the rain-soaked garden outside. Yet on the window seat lay a solitary sheet of paper, its edges slightly curled, adorned with calligraphy that seemed to shift and morph when directly observed. Despite my efforts, I could never decipher the writing, but on occasion, late in the night, when the rain cascaded just so and the shadows aligned flawlessly, I believed I could almost grasp its meaning. Each twilight thereafter, I sat beside that window, vigilant and expectant. The mist occasionally materialized, at times remaining elusive. The alternate chamber surfaced intermittently, sometimes vanishing into mere shadows, yet always present were the whispers, the gentle rain, and the allure of yet untold enigmas. Occasionally, when the grandfather clock told 9 and the embers dimmed, I pondered whether an observer in that other realm was also watching, pen poised, crafting tales of a window peering into our reality. Story 17. The soft patter of raindrops on leaves created a tranquil symphony as I strolled along the forest trail, my footfalls hushed by the thick pine needle carpet below. The fading light of the late afternoon filtered through the canopy, casting a surreal, dreamlike aura over everything in its path. The air carried the earthy perfume of wet soil and moss, intermingled with the sweet scent of wild mushrooms scattered across the forest floor. These solitary walks had always been my sanctuary, but today held a sense of something indefinably different. The familiar path seemed to twist in unfamiliar ways, and the towering trees, ancient guardians standing vigil for centuries, leaned in closer than ever before. Their branches swayed in a breeze that eluded my senses at ground level, creating whispered dialogues high above my head. Venturing deeper into the woods, a delicate mist began to rise from the earth, curling around the tree trunks like ghostly tendrils. The temperature dropped imperceptibly, causing a subtle prickle along my skin. The rain's rhythm shifted, now beckoning me forward with a subtle, persistent allure. Through the veiling fog, a peculiar sight caught my eye. Weathered stone walls, cloaked in lush emerald moss, emerged amidst the trees. Standing no taller than my chest, these walls bore intricate patterns that seemed to shift and dance when viewed from different angles. They formed an entrance to a labyrinth, a structure entirely new to my forest wanderings. Despite the cool air, the stones emanated a curious warmth, and as I touched them, a gentle vibration pulsed through my hand, as if they whispered an ancient lullaby. The moss beneath my fingertips felt impossibly velvety, glowing faintly with a phosphorescent shimmer that intensified as daylight waned. Unconsciously drawn, I followed the meandering walls as they curved and branched, revealing ever-changing patterns in the stone. Different mosses and lichens painted the surfaces in shades of green, silver, and midnight blue. Unfamiliar flowers bloomed in crevices, their iridescent petals translucent like moonlit drops. Journeying deeper into the labyrinth, the outside world faded away. The rain's melody morphed once more, synchronizing with my heartbeat. The mist swirled around my feet in harmony with the wall designs, and in the distance, a sound akin to wind chimes echoed, though the air remained still. Time lost its grip. Had minutes passed, or hours? The ambient light remained constant, a gentle, diffuse glow, seemingly emanating from all directions at once. The walls wove endless tales, depicting scenes of ancient trees dancing in forgotten forests, and enigmatic beings gathering, their forms ethereal and indistinct. Turning a corner, I stumbled upon a circular clearing within the labyrinth. At its center lay a pool of water so serene it resembled polished obsidian, occasionally rippled by movements defying the falling rain. Surrounding the pool, stone benches arched in a perfect circle, etched with the same ever-shifting patterns seen on the walls. Seating myself, I felt the strange warmth of the stones seep through my clothes. Raindrops created concentric rings on the pool's surface, each ripple carrying tiny shimmering lights that danced before fading. Within the watery depths, elusive shadows hinted at memories, dreams, or something beyond comprehension. The chiming sound drew nearer, blending with the rain's cadence and the tree's whispers into a harmony that resonated deep within my being. The mist continued its ethereal ballet around the clearing, forming shapes resembling figures before dissolving into formless vapor. Watching the pool, images began to materialize within its depths, a spectral library with self-turning pages, a fleeting garden where flowers bloomed and withered instantly, a staircase spiraling into endless darkness. Were these visions real, reflections, or products of my mind influenced by this otherworldly realm? Sitting there, I found myself becoming one with the labyrinth's enigmatic melody. The boundary between self and surroundings blurred until I could no longer discern where I ended and the mist began. Raindrops on my skin felt like ancient notes, and the wall patterns flowed through my thoughts like a gentle stream. At some indeterminate moment, I noticed the path into the clearing had altered. A single entrance had multiplied into 3 identical passages leading into mist-shrouded darkness. The walls pulsed with an inner light akin to the moss, casting shifting shadows that danced like living entities. While aware that darkness loomed, I hesitated over which path to choose. Did it truly matter? Each path seemed destined to guide me where I needed to be, even if the destination differed from my origin. The labyrinth obeyed its own logic, governed by emotions and intuition rather than physical laws. Rising from the bench, I selected a passage at random. The chimes crescendoed briefly, then faded, replaced by distant, wordless singing that seemed to emanate from the stones themselves. The mist parted before me, unveiling the path step by step. Walking forward, I realized a profound sense of peace instead of fear, despite the surreal surroundings. A feeling of encountering something ancient and wondrous, patiently awaiting discovery, enveloped me. The rain persisted, the mist twirled, and above, stars emerged through the unseen canopy. Genuine or illusory, I could not discern. That day, I did not retrace my steps to the familiar forest path. Instead, I exited the labyrinth into my own garden, where stone walls transformed into rows of blossoming bushes, mystical patterns fading into ordinary shadows. Though the rain had ceased, droplets lingered on leaves and petals, refracting the last light like myriad tiny prisms. Occasionally, I catch fleeting glimpses of those shifting patterns out of the corner of my eye, or hear distant chimes on the cusp of slumber. The labyrinth's melody lingers in my dreams, beckoning me back to its mystical paths. On rainy days, when mist rises and light takes on that same ethereal quality, I find myself scanning the trees for stone walls, pondering if the labyrinth, with its peculiar magic, still awaits rediscovery. Perhaps it existed solely in that liminal realm between wakefulness and dreams, where reality blurs and bends. Or perhaps it persists everywhere, concealed in plain sight, revealing itself solely to those willing to see. Its memory remains, a gentle nudge that the world harbors inexplicable wonders to be experienced, not explained. Rain continues to fall, mist continues to rise, and somewhere, in a forest of real or imagined origin, an ancient stone labyrinth dances eternally with time and memory, patiently awaiting the next wanderer to chance upon its enigmatic paths. Story 18. In the stillness of the ancient cave, the rain whispered against the stone, creating a tranquil melody that wrapped around me like a soft embrace. My lantern's glow painted warm hues on the weathered walls, revealing the silent stories etched into the rock by time itself. This cave, unlike any I had explored before, beckoned me with a sense of intimacy, as if it held secrets meant only for the most curious of souls. With each step I took, the cavern welcomed me further into its depths, the echoes of my movements blending harmoniously with the gentle drip of water from above. Shadows danced playfully as my light caressed the limestone formations, each curve and crevice a testament to the ancient forces that shaped them over eons. As I ventured deeper, the chamber opened up, vast and awe-inspiring, with ceilings soaring beyond the reach of my lantern's glow. The symphony of water droplets echoed around me, creating a natural lullaby that resonated through the space, lulling me into a peaceful trance. Amidst the soft silt covering the ground, I noticed delicate footprints, not my own, weaving a mysterious path through the chamber. They appeared fresh, yet no signs of recent visitors lingered at the cave's entrance, leaving me to ponder the enigma of their presence in this remote sanctuary. Following the ethereal footprints, I delved further into the labyrinthine passages, the sounds of the outside world fading into a distant memory. A subtle shift in the air hinted at another presence, faint yet unmistakable, the echo of footsteps, always just out of reach, guiding me forward with an invisible hand. The cave's wonders unfolded before me like a dream, with natural archways adorned in glistening minerals that winked like distant stars. The mysterious footprints led the way, navigating the intricate twists and turns effortlessly, as if guided by an unseen force. Time seemed to lose its grip as I wandered, the cave's sweet mineral scent enveloping me in a comforting embrace. Shadows flickered at the edge of my vision, hinting at a presence just beyond reach, a whisper in the darkness that stirred my senses. As I ascended a natural staircase of shelves in the cave wall, the footprints defied gravity, dancing upward into the unknown. A wordless melody filled the chamber, resonating from the very core of the rock, weaving a tapestry of sound that stirred my soul and set my heart aflutter. Swaying to the ancient rhythm, I found myself lost in the enchanting symphony of the cave, the world outside fading into insignificance. The air hummed with a vibrancy that transcended the physical, wrapping me in a cocoon of tranquility and wonder. When I emerged from the depths, the footprints had vanished, leaving only a memory of their fleeting presence. The cave whispered its final secrets as I gazed back one last time, a single set of invisible footprints appearing beside me, a silent reminder of the dance we shared in that mystical realm. And as I carry on my explorations in other caves, the memory of that otherworldly melody lingers, a gentle reminder of the mysteries that lie beneath the surface. In the quiet moments underground, I still hear the echo of distant footsteps, a tantalizing promise of a dance yet to come, always just a step away. Story 19. The crisp autumn air enveloped my wooden cabin, carrying the nostalgic scent of fallen leaves. Outside, the ancient forest stood motionless, frozen in a timeless embrace. Not a single leaf rustled, not a branch swayed. This eerie stillness had lingered for 3 days, defying the natural rhythm of life. Nestled in my cozy armchair, cocooned in a soft wool blanket, I listened to the crackling of the fireplace. The flames painted flickering shadows on the rugged walls, their warm glow contrasting with the dim twilight seeping through the windows. My cup of chamomile tea sat forgotten, grown cold, as I pondered the unsettling quiet that enveloped me. The forest had always been my haven, a sanctuary from the clamor of the modern world. Yet, this silence felt different, heavy, almost sentient. It mirrored the pregnant hush before a storm breaks, that charged pause when nature holds its breath. But this moment stretched on, defying explanation. My cat, Shadow, rested on the windowsill, her sleek black fur aglow in the firelight. Her ears remained alert, her golden eyes fixed on an unseen presence in the shadows. At times she'd raise her head, tracking movements invisible to me, her tail flicking with unease. That night, as I readied for bed, a peculiar sight in the bathroom mirror caught my eye. Behind me, where darkness should have reigned, a pale mist swirled with purpose. When I turned, only the abyss of night greeted me, yet the impression lingered like a ghostly echo. Sleep eluded me that night. The silence pressed against my ears, amplifying the rhythm of my steady heartbeat against the pillow. In that liminal space between wakefulness and dreams, a faint rhythmic whisper brushed my consciousness, akin to distant breaths. Morning brought no relief from the stillness. The forest remained frozen, a painted backdrop to my solitude. Yet, a subtle change had occurred overnight. The carpet of fallen leaves around my cabin had rearranged, forming intricate patterns that seemed almost intentional. Curved lines and spirals sprawled from the tree bases, resembling ripples in a tranquil pond. Shadow refused to venture outside, perched by the window, fixated on the leafy engravings. When I ventured out for firewood, the air felt dense and resistant, like wading through unseen molasses. The temperature remained oddly neutral, neither warm nor cold, but unsettlingly in between, sending shivers down my spine. As dusk approached, a significant shift unfolded. The mist glimpsed in the mirror materialized at the forest's edge, creeping through the trees like ghostly tendrils, aglow in the fading light. Within its translucent depths, elusive shapes formed and dissolved, hinting at movements that vanished upon direct gaze. The whispering breath grew more pronounced as darkness descended, a sound from everywhere and nowhere, filling the void between heartbeats. Shadow pressed close, her fur bristling, as we watched the mist inch closer to the cabin, bearing scents of earth, age, and something primal. That night, my dreams wove a tapestry of roots invading my floors, leaves whispering my name, and trees peering through windows with eyes shrouded in bark. The whispering evolved into a voice, uttering words in a familiar yet incomprehensible tongue. Upon waking, dew-soaked sheets greeted me, though all windows remained sealed shut. The leaf patterns had evolved, intricate and sprawling, spiraling outward like a colossal fingerprint. Even in daylight, the mist lingered, clinging to the ground in tendrils that reached for my footsteps. Shadow spent the day chasing unseen specters from window to window. On the seventh day of stillness, handprints appeared on the windows, not on the glass, but in the condensation that had formed overnight. Larger than human hands, with an excess of fingers, the trails curved and branched like vines. The whispering breath had become a constant presence, ebbing and flowing like distant waves. That evening, as I sat by the fire, I noticed the shadows no longer danced to the flame's tune. They swayed in a new rhythm, synchronized with the forest's breath. The leaf patterns had infiltrated indoors, etched in the dust on shelves, ingrained in the wooden floors, woven into my blankets. Shadow darted to the door, pressing against it, as the breathing sound intensified, resonating in my chest, aligning my heartbeat with an ancient cadence. The mist seeped through cracks, bringing scents of moss, mushrooms, and quiet decay. Instead of fear, a profound recognition washed over me, as if I were finally acknowledging a presence that had always lingered, observing, waiting. The pattern spoke a language, I realized, inscribed in leaves, shadows, and breath. As I pen these words, the forest remains still yet teeming with vitality. The mist has become my constant companion, swirling at my feet as I navigate my abode. Shadow no longer peers out the windows, content in our altered reality. The whispering breath has grown familiar, noticeable only in its rare absences. At times, deep in the night, I sense a comprehension of the forest's message. The patterns morph, crafting words and visions just beyond grasp, blurring the line between my humanity and the ancient consciousness enveloping me. The stillness lingers, not oppressive but anticipatory, like a held breath preceding profound revelations. I hold my breath, awaiting the forest's next discourse. The leaves twirl, the mist weaves its tails, and in the heartbeat space the forest breathes, and I breathe with it, merging into a mystery devoid of resolution. For some questions are more exquisite unanswered, lingering like morning mist, beckoning us to listen, to wonder. Story 20. The soft patter of rain against my car window created a tranquil melody as I cruised through the autumn night. The worn wipers swayed back and forth in a mesmerizing rhythm, clearing the delicate droplets that gathered on the glass. My headlights sliced through the encroaching darkness, their glow muted by the light drizzle that had been my companion for the past hour. Though I had traveled this road countless times, tonight held a different allure. The familiar path homeward had taken on an ethereal quality, with wisps of mist swirling up from the earth, winding through the ancient trees that bordered the narrow road. The fog crept in slowly, like spectral tendrils stretching towards the darkening sky. Ahead loomed the aged wooden bridge, barely visible through the thickening mist. A simple structure, weathered by endless seasons, its planks smoothed by years of passing traffic. As I neared, the mist seemed to gather denser around it, drawn to its weathered timbers. The sound of my tires shifted as they met the wooden planks, creating a soft, hollow beat that resonated through the quiet night. My headlights cast a glow on the swirling fog, dancing and shifting in enchanting patterns. Through the passenger window, glimpses of the black, mirror-like creek below could be seen in the fading light. Something urged me to slow down midway across the bridge. Perhaps it was the unnatural movement of the mist, more akin to a breath than a breeze. Or maybe it was the peculiar quality of the light, bending and reflecting off the fog in inexplicable ways. The rhythmic drumming of my tires slowed, quieted, until I came to a complete stop in the bridge's center. With the engine purring softly, other sounds began to seep into my awareness. The gentle murmur of water below, the rain tapping lightly on metal and wood, and something else, a sound just on the edge of hearing. Whispers, or the wind playing through the aged wooden rails, carrying fragments of words that tantalized the senses. I lowered the window slightly, inviting the cool, damp air to infiltrate the car. An intricate scent wafted in. Wet wood, fallen leaves, and something ancient, evoking memories of dusty attics and forgotten chambers. The mist slithered through the crack like inquisitive tendrils, carrying with it that almost sound, that nearly voice. The rearview mirror reflected only a white wall of fog behind me, while ahead, the bridge seemed to stretch endlessly into the mist. The familiar length of the crossing had become uncertain. Through the passenger window, I observed the fog above the creek moving against the wind, swirling in deliberate, slow spirals. A form materialized in the mist to my right, visible through the passenger window. It could have been a figure standing at the bridge's railing, or perhaps a denser patch of fog caught in a swirl. But for a fleeting moment, I could have sworn I saw a hand extending towards my car, its outline soft and blurred, like a watercolor painting left in the rain. The radio, softly playing music at a low volume, began to switch stations on its own. Amidst the static, snatches of songs and voices flitted by, none lingering for more than a breath. The digital display flickered between seemingly random numbers until I recognized a repeating pattern in the sequence. Time warped, like the fog outside. I couldn't discern how long I lingered there, watching the mist dance and listening to the murmured, almost words. My watch continued its steady ticking, yet each glance revealed times that felt askew. The glowing numbers on my dashboard pulsed gently, marking seconds that seemed elongated or compressed. A soft tap on my driver's side window jolted me, the sound akin to gentle raindrops but purposeful. When I turned to look, the fog pressing against the glass appeared to form a face, or perhaps it was merely the play of water droplets catching the light in an unusual manner. It dissipated as I focused, leaving me unsure if I had truly seen anything. The whispering briefly sharpened, almost coalescing into understandable words. It echoed like distant conversations overheard through walls, familiar yet elusive. There was a quality to it that hinted at meaning just beyond reach, akin to a dream slipping away upon waking. Gradually, I resumed driving forward. The bridge's wooden planks resumed their quiet cadence beneath my tires. Crossing to the other side, the fog began to dissipate, relinquishing its hold on my car. In the rearview mirror, I watched the bridge vanish into the mist, which now pulsed gently like a slow breath. The remainder of my journey home passed uneventfully, though the radio continued its erratic behavior, playing fragments of songs I almost recognized. Upon parking in my driveway, I noticed an anomaly on my passenger seat, a small, perfectly round puddle of water, devoid of a discernible source. That night, as I lay in bed listening to the persistent rain, thoughts of the bridge and its enigmatic fog filled my mind. In my dreams, the whispered words returned, and this time they seemed almost within grasp. Nearly comprehensible, yet not entirely, and perhaps that's as it should be. Even now, whenever I traverse that bridge amidst the fog, I sense a gentle pull, an invitation to pause and listen to those nearly words once more. Sometimes I heed the call, and sometimes I don't. Yet I've observed that the puddle reappears on my passenger seat more often than not, a small circular reminder that certain mysteries prefer to linger unsolved, hanging in the air like mist over dark waters. Story 21. The steady rhythm of waves caressing ancient rocks enveloped my senses as I wandered down the meandering trail leading to the lighthouse. The evening breeze carried the tang of salt and seaweed, mingling with the earthy perfume of damp soil left by the passing rain. My footfalls whispered softly on the moist earth, harmonizing with the gentle rustle of tall grass swaying in the coastal zephyr. Standing tall ahead of me was the lighthouse, its whitewashed facade taking on an otherworldly sheen in the waning twilight. Delicate patterns of peeling paint unveiled layers of history beneath its surface. As the loyal assistant to the lighthouse keeper, this structure had been a constant in my life. Yet tonight, an unfamiliar aura hung in the air. The usual warm, golden beam that should have danced across the waves was notably absent, though the soft glow of the lantern room at the tower's peak beckoned me. The iron key felt icy against my skin as I turned it in the lock of the sturdy wooden door. With a low, resonant creak, the door swung open, ushering me into the circular chamber. A familiar blend of brass and mineral oil greeted me, accompanied by an elusive fragrance, reminiscent of aged books and withered flowers. Each step I took reverberated softly on the stone floor as I ascended the spiral staircase. 142 steps. Though a journey I had embarked upon countless times, tonight, each step seemed to murmur beneath my feet. The usual sounds of the lighthouse, the gentle tick of the mechanism, the soft sigh of wind through the ventilation shafts, appeared muffled, as if heard through a haze of fog. The brass handrail felt oddly warm to the touch, contrasting the coolness of the evening air. Climbing higher, I noticed peculiar details that seemed out of place. Faint markings on the walls, resembling writing, caught my eye, only to morph into natural stone patterns upon closer inspection. Reaching the watch room beneath the lantern room, I spied the logbook lying open on the desk, though I distinctly remembered closing it earlier. The pages fluttered gently, untouched by any breeze. The latest entry, scribed in what appeared to be my own hand, detailed an enigmatic occurrence. Light shines forth, but illuminates nothing. The beam passes through the fog as if it doesn't exist. A chill crept over me as I ascended the final steps to the lantern room. The Fresnel lens sparkled magnificently, its crystalline facets capturing and refracting the lamplight. The mechanism whirred steadily, yet peering through the glass panes, I found no beam piercing the encroaching darkness. It was as though the light dissipated mere feet from its source. Drawing closer to the windows, I pressed my palm against the cool glass. The sea below lay tranquil, akin to black satin. No stars mirrored on its surface, despite the clear night sky above. The boundary between sea and sky had dissolved into a profound darkness pulsating with an eerie vitality of its own. The cryptic entry in the logbook tugged at my thoughts. Having tended to this lighthouse for years, mastering its every idiosyncrasy, the concept of light vanishing into oblivion challenged my understanding of the natural order. Yet there I stood, witnessing this phenomenon unfold before my very eyes. A soft scraping sound diverted my gaze to a corner of the room. The maintenance toolbox, which I was certain had been securely closed, now lay open. Inside, the tools were arranged in an unfamiliar configuration, almost resembling symbols. Blinking, they returned to their normal state, yet an unsettling sensation lingered. The flame of the lamp flickered unexpectedly, casting dancing shadows upon the brass fixtures. In that moment, I glimpsed my reflection in the glass, but its movements were slightly out of sync with my own. A subtle delay, almost imperceptible, manifested. When I raised my hand, the reflection followed a fraction of a second too late. A gentle hum emanated from the lens itself. Not the usual mechanical whirring of the rotation, but a more organic, almost melodic resonance. It evoked the sound of a wet finger tracing a crystal glass rim, yet deeper, more profound. The vibration seemed to course through the floor, up into my being. Once more, the logbook beckoned. Turning to it, I observed additional words materializing on the page, as if scripted by an unseen hand. The darkness doesn't devour the light, it transmutes it into the imperceptible. Some things are destined to remain unseen. Glancing outward again, I beheld the water where the beam should have illuminated, only to witness patches of what appeared to be liquid shadow, darker than the surrounding obscurity. They undulated against the current, forming patterns that almost seemed purposeful, akin to a language inscribed in the absence of light. Mesmerized, I watched as the hum from the lens intensified slightly, and the warm glow of the lamp pulsed in harmony. The brass fixtures throughout the room captured and refracted light in defiance of natural laws, crafting impossible angles and shadows that defied logic, bending in directions beyond comprehension. Time warped within the lantern room. The moon traversed the sky at an accelerated pace, yet the wall clock indicated only minutes had elapsed. The lens continued its unhurried rotation, each revolution warping the darkness beyond in novel configurations, conjuring shapes that challenged my cognition. The warmth of the brass rail under my hand gradually dissipated, replaced by a curious sensation, as if touching a substance existing betwixt solid, liquid, and gas states. The very atmosphere within the lantern room crackled with potential, akin to the charged silence preceding a thunderclap, though gentler, more alluring. When I descended the stairs at last, each step felt akin to traversing layers of reality slightly askew. The lighthouse had always held significance beyond its physical form, yet now it seemed to occupy a realm between realms, its purpose transcending mere navigation of ships through the night. Come morning, no trace of the peculiar events adorned the logbook. The tools lay neatly in their designated spots, and the lens cast its beam serenely over the waters. Yet on hushed nights, I discern fleeting moments when the light appears to fade into the void, accompanied by a faint hum, barely audible. In those instants, I ponder if the lighthouse communicates not only with darkness but through it, conversing in a dialect of light and shadow beyond human comprehension. The enigma of that night endures, shrouded in mutable layers of uncertainty that shift with each recollection. The lighthouse maintains its nightly vigil, and I uphold mine, recognizing that certain enigmas are best left as gentle mysteries, their solutions concealed within the interstice of light and shadow, known and unknown, seen and unseen. Story 22. The soft murmur of autumn leaves pirouetted across the wooden porch, a gentle accompaniment to my nightly tea ritual. Wisps of steam lazily ascended from my cup, carrying the sweet fragrance of chamomile and honey into the crisp air. The aging house murmured softly, its familiar creaks providing solace as darkness enveloped the hour. It was then that I noticed a peculiar shift in the moon. Low and luminous in the night sky, its radiance held an enigmatic allure. The silvery glow pulsed ever so subtly, akin to a distant heartbeat. Intrigued, I found myself drawn into its rhythm, my breath harmonizing with its delicate cadence. A hush descended, an unusual calmness. The rustling leaves stilled, the crickets fell silent, In the profound quiet, a mysterious sound emerged, faint yet undeniable. It was a melody without notes, a song without sound, emanating from the very core of the moon. Forgotten, my tea turned cold as I sat spellbound by this ethereal phenomenon. The moonlight thickened, almost tangible, cascading like silver silk threads from above. They swirled in an unseen breeze, forming patterns reminiscent of ancient scripts, cryptic messages on the cusp of comprehension. Within the house, shadows stirred, not mere silhouettes cast by passing clouds, but deliberate movements that followed the silent tempo. They wove and swayed along the walls, assuming shapes almost human, yet not quite. Their fluid motions possessed a grace beyond earthly bounds. Standing without recollection of leaving my chair, the wooden floor hummed beneath me, a subtle vibration coursing through my being. The air chilled slightly, a sensation that prickled my skin, yet I harbored no fear, only a profound sense of awe and tranquility. The moon's pulse continued, each wave inducing a subtle shift in the surroundings. Colors intensified, textures flowed like water, and the very atmosphere shimmered with silver specks of light. Time dissolved, minutes stretching into hours, moments contracting into fleeting instants. A distant clock told midnight, its chime distorted as if submerged underwater. With each reverberation, the moon's silent hymn grew more insistent. Shadows on the walls quickened their dance, evolving into intricate movements with defined forms. Faces flickered within their shifting contours, expressions mirroring my inexplicable serenity. A gentle breeze stirred, carrying the scent of nocturnal blooms foreign to my garden. It encircled me, lifting tendrils of hair and fabric in a tender embrace. The moonlight responded, weaving intricate patterns through the air, eluding my gaze. Enveloped in the impossible radiance, a realization dawned, or perhaps a recollection long forgotten. The moon's silent song whispered of ancient truths, of realms bordering our own, of realities intertwined like silk against skin. It spoke of nights when the boundary between existence and possibility waned, inviting touch. The shadows beckoned, their dance an invitation. My feet moved instinctively, tracing steps to a melody I had never learned but inherently knew. The moonlight enveloped me like a cloak, and for a fleeting moment, weightlessness embraced me, as though I could step onto the silver light itself. Reluctantly, the intensity waned, the shadows reverting to stillness. The moonlight ebbed, returning to its familiar glow. The silent song faded, leaving an echoing resonance in my bones. Seated once more, my tea forgotten, the night resumed its ordinary cadence. Yet a fundamental shift had occurred, irreversible and profound. The moon held a new allure, its mysteries beckoning with an uncertain allure. On quiet nights beneath the full moon, I linger on the porch, attuned to the subtle whispers of the silent song, the fleeting shimmer of silver threads in the air. The shadows, they remember their dance, a graceful choreography now dormant. They reach forth with a knowing elegance, hinting at mysteries beyond grasp, residing in the delicate balance between reality and reverie. In that twilight realm where the moon's melody plays and shadows sway to invisible harmonies, a transcendent peace lingers, a magic untethered by words. Still, I partake in my evening tea, watching the moon ascend above the horizon. And sometimes, in the profound stillness of the night, amidst tranquil thoughts, I sense the faint pulse of silver light, a distant rhythm beckoning me to a dance shrouded in enigma, forever etched in memory. Story 23. The gentle patter of rain against the weathered stones created a soothing melody as I stood by the ancient well in my grandmother's garden. The old brick structure exuded a sense of mystery, its depths shrouded in shadow despite the warm glow of the lantern I held. The evening air was filled with the earthy aroma of rain-soaked soil and climbing roses, their fragrance intensified by the summer shower. It had been just a week since I inherited this old house following my grandmother's peaceful passing in her sleep. The property now felt different, not devoid of life, but imbued with a unique presence. The rain cascaded down in a rhythmic dance, forming delicate rivulets that meandered down the well's worn stones. Though the well had always been sealed with a heavy wooden cover, tonight I felt an inexplicable pull towards it. Perhaps it was the way the raindrops echoed as they descended into its depths, or maybe it was the ethereal silver light that seemed to emanate from between the wooden slats. Approaching the well, the sweet fragrance of roses transitioned into something ancient, the mineral scent of underground water and ancient rock. My fingers traced the rough surface of the wood, feeling the grooves and imperfections etched by time. The cover was cool and slightly damp beneath my touch. A soft whisper of wind rustled the climbing roses, their thorny tendrils casting intricate shadows in the lantern's flickering light. With a gentle push, I lifted the ancient cover. It moved more smoothly than anticipated, almost as if it welcomed my touch. The well's mouth yawned open to the night sky, and I held my lantern over its rim. The light danced upon countless droplets clinging to the stone walls, turning them into shimmering stars that seemed to pulsate with an inner glow. And then I heard it, a faint sound, so subtle I might have imagined it. A whispered melody wafting up from the darkness, akin to a lullaby sung from a distant place. The voice defied categorization. Neither distinctly male nor female, young nor old, but a blend of all. It spoke of ancient truths, of secrets veiled in stone and water, of memories enshrined in the cool depths below. I found myself seated next to the well, enveloped in the enchanting cadence of the song. The rain continued its gentle percussion on the garden stones, providing a serene backdrop for the mysterious melody. Time seemed to stretch and contract in this place, like molasses flowing from a spoon, unhurried and sweet. My grandmother had shared tales of this well, stories handed down through generations, yet she had never mentioned the singing. As I tuned in more keenly, I discerned words woven into the melody, although they eluded my grasp, shifting and morphing before I could decipher their meaning. They evoked memories of the lullabies my grandmother used to hum, but with an unearthly quality that sent a pleasant shiver down my spine. The voice seemed to envelop me like a cozy quilt, despite its otherworldly nature. Gradually, the rain transformed from a steady downpour to a gentle mist, cloaking the garden in a hushed ambiance. In the deepening quiet, the well's song grew more distinct. It spoke of verdant life thriving in darkness, of subterranean rivers untouched by sunlight, of crystals blossoming like flowers in concealed caverns. Though the words were in an unfamiliar tongue, their essence resonated with me, akin to understanding the language of music without translation. The flame of my lantern flickered, casting undulating shadows on the well's inner walls. Within those shadows, phantom figures seemed to materialize, graceful forms moving like underwater dancers. They flickered in and out of view so swiftly that I could never quite fixate on their shapes, yet their movements synchronized with the rhythm of the mystical song. Time lost its significance, slipping away imperceptibly as I sat entranced by the hypnotic interplay of rain, wind, and melody. The voice persisted in its ethereal whispers, at times seeming to emanate from the depths below, and at others from the very stones themselves. A cool breeze stirred the garden, carrying the fragrance of damp foliage and nocturnal blooms. The climbing roses swayed in harmony, their motion weaving intricate patterns in the lantern's glow. The voice from the well seemed attuned to this natural symphony, its melody ebbing and flowing like water around stones. Lost in this mesmerizing tapestry of sound and scent, memories of my grandmother surfaced, visions of her nurturing these gardens, her hands tender as she tended to the roses. She would often pause beside this very well, her expression serene as she gazed into its abyss. Had she too heard these voices? Had she sat here on nights like this, listening to their age-old harmonies? The notion brought a comforting warmth, forging a connection across time between her experiences and mine. Perhaps she had comprehended something that I was only just beginning to grasp, that certain places harbor enigmas not meant to be unraveled but merely embraced, like music in the dark, like whispers from profound wells, like memories that surface in the stillness of night. The voice gradually receded as the night deepened, fading into a soft murmur with each passing moment. Yet it did not feel like a conclusion, rather a gentle retreat, akin to a parent silently leaving a child's room after singing them to sleep. The final notes lingered in the air like a subtle perfume, mingling with the sweet fragrance of rain-drenched roses. I lingered by the well a while longer, observing as the mist enveloped my lantern's light in a halo. The stones glistened with moisture, and tiny droplets cascaded from the rose petals, each one capturing the light like a fallen star. Though the well's song had waned entirely, its echo lingered in my mind, a melody just beyond the grasp of memory. As I eventually rose to head back to the house, a newfound tranquility enveloped me, a deeper connection to this place now my abode. I chose not to replace the well's cover. An instinct whispered that it needed to breathe, to exchange its ancient melodies with the night breeze. So I left it open to the starlit sky, aware that its mysteries awaited me on another rainy eve. Indoors, the soft patter of rain persisted, now infused with traces of that otherworldly melody. As I readied myself for slumber, a realization dawned upon me. I had unearthed a wisdom my grandmother had known all along. The most profound mysteries often lay in those we do not seek to explain, but embrace as part of the tapestry of existence, akin to music in the shadows, whispers from the depths, and memories that surface in the quiet of night. That night, my dreams carried me to subterranean rivers and crystal gardens, to roses blooming in obscurity, and to melodies without origin or end. Upon awakening, the morning sun flooded through my window, casting a golden glow over the silent well in the garden. Yet now I held its secret close. On certain nights, when the rain fell just so and the roses perfumed the air, ancient voices would still serenade their timeless ballads to any soul patient enough to listen. Story 24. The gentle hum of my car's engine blended harmoniously with the soft pitter-patter of raindrops on the windshield, creating a tranquil melody that synchronized effortlessly with the steady rhythm of my own heartbeat. The night enveloped my vehicle like a velvety cloak, pierced only by the warm glow of my headlights slicing through the darkness. It felt like I had been journeying for an eternity, yet my watch stubbornly insisted that only 45 minutes had passed since I departed from the quaint diner where I had paused for a cup of coffee. The road ahead unfurled endlessly, a dark ribbon of asphalt vanishing into the misty obscurity. Towering pine trees flanked both sides, their branches swaying ever so gently in the autumn breeze, casting fleeting shadows that danced across my path. The breeze, carrying the earthy scent of rain-soaked soil and pine needles, drifted in through the cracked window, a familiar fragrance that tonight held an inexplicable intensity, an almost mystical quality. A peculiar observation caught my attention. The mile markers seemed to be repeating themselves. Initially brushing it off as a trick of exhaustion, the pattern grew unmistakably clear as I continued my drive. Mile marker 47 would fleetingly pass, followed by 48, 49, 50, and then, inexplicably, 47 would reappear. The rational part of my mind attempted to rationalize it. Perhaps there were multiple sections of road with identical numbering, or maybe fatigue was clouding my perception. The soft jazz playing on the radio began to fade into static. I reached to adjust the dial, but no matter how I turned it, the signal remained elusive. Beneath the crackling static, faint whispers seemed to linger, too indistinct to decipher, yet potent enough to send a shiver down my spine. Opting for the soothing sounds of rain and the rhythmic swish of the wipers, I silenced the radio. As the night deepened, I noticed other vehicles on the road, or rather, the same vintage car appearing in my rearview mirror at precise intervals. An old model, reminiscent of the 1950s, its chrome accents dimly gleaming in my taillights. It would maintain a consistent distance for exactly 3 minutes before vanishing as I navigated a curve. When I glanced back, it would reappear, maintaining that exact distance with eerie precision. The digital clock on my dashboard displayed 11:47 p.m., a time that seemed frozen in place, echoing the moment I first encountered the recurring mile markers. I pulled over at a rest area, hoping to gather my thoughts or encounter a fellow traveler who could offer guidance. The parking lot lay deserted, illuminated solely by a solitary street lamp, casting a warm golden halo on the wet ground. Stepping out of my car, the air felt dense and sluggish, as if time itself had thickened. The rain had tapered into a mist suspended in the lamplight. At the edge of the lot stood a weathered wooden information board, displaying a map with perplexing, impossible patterns. Roads twisted and looped in defiance of logic, culminating in a handwritten note. Time is a circle here. The journey never ends, it just changes you. Returning to my car, the vintage vehicle from my mirror now sat 3 spaces away. Immaculate despite the rain, its empty interior exuded the faint aroma of aged leather and pipe tobacco, as though its driver had vacated mere moments before. Resuming my drive, subtle alterations in the landscape began to manifest. Trees appeared taller, their branches extending over the road, forming natural arches that my headlights struggled to penetrate. The once distant pockets of fog now billowed across the road in languid undulations, swirling in patterns that hinted at fleeting faces and ephemeral figures. Each subsequent rest area mirrored the last, down to the patterns of puddles on the pavement, and each time the vintage car would be parked 3 spaces away, empty yet imbued with a silent presence. Days seemed to meld together as I traversed this unending road, the clock persistently stuck at 11:47 p.m. The fuel gauge remained steadfast at half full, and the coffee in my cup retained its comforting warmth. Fellow travelers occasionally passed by, their serene expressions prompting me to ponder if they too had become ensnared in this gentle cycle of time and space. Strangely, I found myself hesitating to seek a return to conventional roads. There existed an odd solace in this realm where time held no sway, where the voyage itself transformed into both destination and purpose. The whispers amidst the static had grown familiar, almost melodic, while the mist's fleeting shapes felt akin to long-lost companions. The cryptic note's meaning began to dawn on me, as each passage of mile marker 47 unveiled a fresh revelation, a hidden tree pattern, a subtle alteration in light quality, a new melody within the whispered static. The road remained unaltered, yet my perception of it evolved, akin to a musical composition revealing deeper nuances with each listen. Amidst the unending night, I contemplated whether I had stumbled upon a rare and precious anomaly, a realm where the ceaseless pursuit of a destination yielded to the serene tranquility of perpetual journey. The rain continued its gentle cadence on the windshield, with mile marker 47 beckoning ahead. This time, however, I anticipated a new discovery, an obscured truth awaiting my evolved gaze. In a realm devoid of conclusion, where every bend held a secret and every mile marker whispered enigma, I embraced the perpetual journey with the soft purr of my engine as my companion, the gentle rain as my lullaby, and the elusive road as my guide into infinite beginnings. Story 25. The whispering autumn wind guided my steps along the meandering path leading to my grandmother's ancient Victorian home. Each creak of the weathered wooden steps beneath me sang a familiar tune, a melody woven from years of childhood memories. The porch lanterns, usually aglow with warmth, stood eerily dark that night, their glass surfaces reflecting only the soft moonlight. It had been 3 months since my grandmother's peaceful passing, leaving me the custodian of this storied house. Every evening, like clockwork, I would light the 12 antique lanterns at sunset, a tradition passed down through generations. This ritual was my solace, a way to keep her spirit alive in the walls saturated with memories. But on this particular night, a subtle shift lingered in the air. A stillness, laden with the scent of rain-soaked earth and aged timber, enveloped me as I fumbled for my keys, feeling the weight of my grandmother's brass lighter in my coat pocket. The same lighter she had wielded for years, its surface worn smooth by the passage of time. Entering the foyer, I was enveloped in a comforting blend of lavender and old books, scents meticulously crafted by my grandmother through her love for dried flowers and leather-bound tomes. The echoes of my footsteps on the polished hardwood floors guided me through the house, where vintage wall sconces bathed the Victorian wallpaper in a soft amber hue. Beginning my nightly routine, I approached the first lantern by the front door. The click of the brass lighter was a faint sound as I tried to ignite the wick, but to no avail. The flame refused to dance, despite being freshly replaced only days prior. Perplexed, I moved on to the next lantern, encountering the same resistance. A cool breeze stirred the ivy on the porch, casting playful shadows on the wooden planks. The moon, a silent witness, painted intricate patterns through the leaves, weaving a dance of light and shadow. One by one, each lantern rejected my attempts to ignite them. All 12 stood in darkness, their unlit glass panes mirroring my growing bewilderment. The brass lighter, a faithful companion until now, obediently lit a candle indoors, its flame unwavering. The grandfather clock chimed midnight, its deep toll a reminder of the relentless passage of time. Yet, this night felt suspended in a realm beyond time, as if the darkness of the lanterns created a bubble of quietude in the world. Recollections of my grandmother's tales about the lanterns surfaced in my mind, especially the lore of their refusal to light on significant occasions. Seating myself on the porch swing, I surrendered to its rhythmic sway, merging with the nocturnal symphony surrounding me. The air, tinged with the fragrance of honeysuckle, held a tranquil allure. In the distance, an owl's soft call mingled with the rustling leaves, creating a lullaby of nature. Amidst the darkened lanterns, a subtle anomaly caught my eye. Delicate silver threads, nearly imperceptible in the moon's glow, connected each lantern like ethereal tendrils. They shimmered, appearing and vanishing with each heartbeat, akin to spider silk catching starlight. As the grandfather clock tolled midnight's final chime, the silver threads solidified, forming a luminous web that linked all 12 lanterns. Within this radiant circle, the air thickened, pulsing with an uncanny vitality. The scent of lavender intensified, reminiscent of my grandmother's perfume. The swing swayed gently, untouched by wind, as if an unseen guest had joined me. I sat in quiet observation as the silver threads pulsed rhythmically, casting a gentle glow that hinted at elusive figures moving between the lanterns. Their forms, elusive and familiar, danced on the edge of my perception, stirring a recognition buried deep within. With each passing moment, a revelation dawned. These lanterns were not mere fixtures, but guardians of memory, custodians of ancestral lore. Their darkness was not a glitch, but an invitation, a beckoning to unearth profound truths. Time slipped away unnoticed as I sat embraced by the nocturnal serenade and the spectral ballet of shadows. The silver threads gradually faded as the first light of dawn kissed the sky, dissolving into the ether with the rising sun. Rising from the swing, the brass lighter nestled in my palm exuded a gentle warmth. Testing it once more on the first lantern, the flame ignited effortlessly, burning bright and unwavering. Lantern by lantern, I kindled their flames, completing the morning ritual that mirrored the usual evening routine. In the dawn's tender glow, the lanterns shimmered with a newfound luminescence, carrying not just my grandmother's memories, but those of generations past. Their stories, etched in shadow and light, awaited the nights when darkness unveiled their hidden truths. I kept the revelation of that night to myself, attuning my senses to the lantern's silent messages. Sometimes on anniversaries or pivotal nights, the lights would dim, signaling a deeper narrative only later understood. The circle of unlit lanterns became my clandestine legacy, a reminder that some illuminations require darkness to reveal their subtle wisdom. And on tranquil evenings, as I sway on the porch swing beneath the lantern's golden glow, I ponder how darkness is not void but a language of its own, whispering tales deciphered in the dance of shadows and the hush of silence. Story 26. In the gentle embrace of autumn rain, a mysterious symphony unfolded within the shadowed forest. Each raindrop carried whispered secrets as they descended, mingling with the golden and crimson leaves on their journey to the earth below. My footsteps created soft squishing sounds on the damp trail, accompanied by the sweet fragrance of decaying foliage that filled the air around me. The fading light of late afternoon painted the forest in hues of amber and gray, casting a spell of enchantment over the ancient trees and moss-covered rocks. What had begun as a simple walk to clear my mind transformed into a journey guided by the mystical allure of the weather and light. The familiar trail markers faded into obscurity, replaced by towering trees that seemed to share ancient wisdom through their intertwined branches. Amidst the natural symphony of the forest, a new sound emerged, the gentle flow of water, a melody hidden within the whispers of the wind and rain. With each step, the pull of the unseen river grew stronger, drawing me further into the heart of the woods. The path led me downward, meandering between mossy boulders arranged as if by a forgotten hand. The air grew cooler as I descended, carrying a scent of minerals and thyme, blending with the fragrance of wet stone. Through the gaps in the trees, mist rose from a narrow valley below, where the river's mysterious song echoed through the forest. Turning a bend in the path, a mesmerizing sight greeted my eyes. Before me lay a river of unearthly beauty, clear yet dark, flowing with a hypnotic slowness that defied nature's logic. Mist danced upon its surface, weaving intricate patterns before dissipating into the air. The river seemed to materialize from nowhere, disappearing into the shadows beyond, a secret kept by the ancient woods. Entranced, I descended the steep bank to the water's edge, where moss-covered rocks cradled a silence broken only by the river's deep resonance. As I approached, a peculiar sight caught my attention. An opening in the rock wall from which the river emerged, veiled by a curtain of mist and water. The cave entrance beckoned, its rhythmic breath akin to a sleeping giant, stirring a sense of ancient power within me. The air thrummed with anticipation, as if the very essence of the forest converged at this mystical gateway. Kneeling by the water, I felt its dual nature, neither warm nor cold, a paradox of sensations that mirrored the enigmatic allure of the cave. A faint sound, reminiscent of distant music, whispered from the depths of the cave, drawing me closer to its mysteries. At twilight, small lights flickered into existence around the cave's entrance, their ethereal glow defying earthly explanation. They danced in silent harmony, weaving a luminescent tapestry that spoke a language of light and shadow. Time lost its grip in this timeless realm, where evening approached, yet seemed suspended in an eternal moment. The lights multiplied, their movements forming cryptic patterns that hinted at ancient truths hidden within the cave's depths. Mesmerized, I took a step onto the radiant surface of the river, where the lights cast shimmering stepping stones of pure luminescence. The cave's breath caressed my skin, carrying whispers of ages past and futures unknown. The lights beckoned, guiding me towards the threshold of the unknown, where stories untold awaited discovery. Balanced between certainty and wonder, I felt a profound shift within, a recognition of a truth long forgotten. With each step towards the cave's entrance, the lights pulsed with a silent invitation, weaving a tale of interconnected mysteries that resonated in my soul. The decision to cross into the luminous realm held the promise of transformation, a leap into the heart of the unknown guided by an ancient call. As daylight waned above, I stood at the threshold of worlds, where reality blurred and magic flowed unbound. Whether I entered the cave or retraced my steps, the essence of that mystical place had already woven itself into the fabric of my being. The dance of lights and the river's song whispered of a hidden realm beyond, a realm where the boundaries of possibility dissolved into the mysteries of the earth. On quiet nights, when rain falls gently and the world grows still, the echo of that otherworldly melody lingers, beckoning me to the threshold where reality and enchantment intertwine. Story 27. The soft patter of rain against the window panes enveloped the ancient house in a tranquil symphony, weaving a delicate rhythm that reverberated through the echoing corridors. Inheriting the grand Victorian mansion from my grandmother a mere fortnight ago, unraveled a tapestry of enigmas concealed within its weathered nooks. The aged wooden floorboards murmured beneath my steps, whispering faded tales of bygone eras. On one autumn evening, as the melancholic breeze serenaded through the gaps in the window frames, a mysterious allure drew me towards the narrow staircase ascending to the attic. The brass doorknob felt cool to the touch, gliding effortlessly as if beckoning me into the forgotten realm above. A scent of old tomes and forsaken reminiscences descended to meet me as I ascended the groaning stairs, my flashlight carving gentle pathways through the dancing dust particles that glistened like miniature stars in the dimness. Each step led me closer to the treasures secreted away by my grandmother over her lifetime, each possessing a narrative yearning to be unveiled. The attic unfurled before me, a vast expanse shrouded in white sheets, resembling silent phantoms maintaining their eternal vigil. My footfalls were muted by the thick layer of dust blanketing the wooden floor, while the rain continued its delicate serenade on the slanted roof, cocooning me in a tranquil solitude. Amidst the veiled furniture and stacked crates, a peculiar sight seized my attention. Nestled in the far corner, partly obscured behind an ancient trunk, sat a Victorian rocking chair remarkably devoid of dust compared to its surroundings. The worn velvet upholstery retained a deep burgundy hue, and perched atop it rested a porcelain doll previously unseen by my eyes. Clad in a faded blue silk dress, delicate yellowed lace embellishing its collar and sleeves, the doll bore a meticulously crafted face, with rosy cheeks and intricate painted features frozen in a moment of eternal tranquility. However, it was the eyes that captivated me. Crafted from painted glass, they possessed an uncanny depth that seemed to shift in the flickering beam of my flashlight. As I approached, the floorboards groaned softly beneath my weight, their protest echoing in the stillness. The doll sat in poised elegance, hands neatly folded in its lap, as if awaiting a long-lost companion. A small key nestled in the doll's back hinted at its function as a music box, yet I hesitated to wind it in the attic's silence. The atmosphere surrounding the rocking chair felt altered, cooler, denser somehow. My breath materialized in wisps in the flashlight's glow, while the rest of the attic basked in the residual warmth of the day. Tentatively, I reached out to caress the doll's porcelain cheek, and beneath my fingertips, instead of the anticipated chill, I encountered a subtle warmth pulsating faintly. In that moment, a faint melody, akin to a distant music box, seemed to drift through the air, barely audible but carrying notes of a lullaby my grandmother used to hum to me in childhood. Lost in the memory, I perceived a slight movement from the rocking chair, almost imperceptible, a mere hint of motion, yet enough to quicken my heartbeat. The chair settled back into stillness, yet the air held a suspended breath. Subsequently, I found myself frequenting the attic more often, sometimes spending hours seated in an adjacent chair, observing the doll in its serene repose. On particularly silent nights, as the house submerged into profound quietude, I could discern the familiar lullaby lingering at the edge of consciousness. One twilight, as the sun dipped beneath the horizon, casting the attic in hues of amber and shadow, I stumbled upon a petite diary nestled behind the rocking chair. My grandmother's elegant script filled the pages, but it was a photograph utilized as a bookmark that seized my attention. Capturing my grandmother as a young girl seated in the same rocking chair, cradling what appeared to be the identical doll, the image exuded an unsettling peculiarity. The doll's posture differed slightly from my discovery, its head tilted at an altered angle, hands arranged in a different manner. In the diary, my grandmother chronicled a gift she received on her 8th birthday, a musical doll serenading her with the sweetest lullabies. She inscribed about the doll's solace during thunderous nights, and how on lonely occasions she believed she heard it sing without being wounded. The final entry regarding the doll was a mere few days before my grandmother's departure. She narrated sensing its presence comforting her in her final moments, the old lullaby seeping into her dreams. The entry halted abruptly, as if she was interrupted mid-sentence. Now, amidst quiet evenings in my grandmother's abode, I find myself irresistibly drawn back to the attic. The doll remains perched in its chair, its tranquil countenance unaltered yet subtly evolving with each encounter. Occasionally, on the brink of slumber, I catch echoes of that familiar lullaby descending from above, a gentle reminder of my grandmother's enduring affection, captured in porcelain and silk, overseeing the house and its memoirs. The enigma encircling the doll persists unsolved, perhaps destined to remain an ethereal wonderment. Some enigmas are better left as gentle musings, drifting in the ethereal realm between reality and reveries. In those instances when the house lulls into its profound stillness, when the rain whispers against the panes and the breeze murmurs through the corridors, solace envelops me, knowing that somewhere in the dusty attic, a porcelain doll maintains its eternal vigil, safeguarding secrets and recollections within its warm, tender embrace. On particularly serene nights, I've learned to discern the subtle shift in the atmosphere heralding the melody, a gentle alteration in pressure, a slight warming of the air, as though the house inhales deeply before the lullaby commences. And in those suspended moments between wakefulness and dreams, I comprehend why my grandmother chose to conceal the doll's true essence from others. Some mysteries are meant to be felt rather than fathomed, experienced rather than rationalized. Thus, the doll persists in its attic alcove, neither fully tethered to reality nor detached from it, a benign custodian of familial memories and unspoken histories. Its presence has transformed into a solace rather than a disquiet, a familiar enigma infusing the ancient house with a sense of serene marvel. Night after night, as I drift into slumber, I envision its benevolent vigil stretching across the dwelling, interweaving dreams and recollections in an eternal lullaby resonating softly within the interstices of heartbeats. Story 28. The rhythmic tap of rain on my window enveloped me in a soothing embrace as I delved into the depths of a tranquil autumn evening. A soft glow from my reading lamp danced across the pages of my cherished leather-bound journal, where I chronicled the curious occurrences of recent weeks. The gentle scratch of my fountain pen on paper harmonized effortlessly with the symphony of nature outside. It all began on a misty evening akin to this one, when the unmistakable sound of carriage wheels traversing cobblestones drifted to my ears. Residing in this historical neighborhood, such sounds were not entirely foreign. The ancient streets retained their original stone paths, and horse-drawn carriages occasionally meandered by, carrying eager tourists seeking a glimpse of days gone by. Yet this particular sound held a peculiar allure. What struck me initially was its unwavering consistency. The clip-clop of hooves and the steady rotation of wheels maintained a flawless tempo, never wavering, never altering its pace. Setting aside my teacup, I gravitated towards the window, captivated by the hypnotic regularity of the sound. Through sheer gossamer curtains, I discerned the silhouette of an elegant carriage, its dark form barely visible amidst the ethereal mist veiling the street. The carriage moved with an almost mechanical precision, its wheels spinning at an exact rate, the horses' hooves striking the cobblestones in perfect synchrony. No driver graced the coach's top, yet it adhered to its course with unwavering resolve. Its windows remained opaque, offering no glimpse of any occupants within, and the entire carriage seemed cloaked in a strange light-absorbing material. That initial night, I witnessed it pass by my dwelling 3 times, each circuit precisely 47 minutes apart. This detail I noted with keen interest, fascinated by the mathematical exactitude of its appearances. The carriage neither slowed nor halted, never deviating from its predetermined path. As weeks unfurled, the carriage evolved into a regular visitor of our thoroughfare. Every dusk, as the sun dipped beneath the horizon and the first stars peeked through the dusk, the familiar sound would resonate. The neighborhood cats would halt their nightly prowls, frozen in stillness, as the carriage glided past. Even the birds fell silent, creating an atmosphere of hushed expectancy trailing in the carriage's wake. Gradually, other denizens began to acknowledge its presence. Mrs. Henderson, residing 3 houses down, attested to glimpsing it pass her bedroom window precisely at 3:17 a.m., the wheel sounds seeming to reverberate from the depths of her dreams. Local children devised a game of timing the intervals between the carriage's appearances, though parental guidance steered them away from lingering outdoors after dark in anticipation. I, too, found myself increasingly ensnared by the enigma. My journal burgeoned with meticulous observations. The specific hue of the carriage's exterior, a shade betwixt midnight blue and the color of a crow's wing, the curious manner in which streetlights dimmed faintly in its passing, the delicate scent of lilacs and wood smoke lingering in its trail. One fog-laden evening, I resolved to trail it. Clad in a warm coat, I ventured onto the street just as the familiar sound drew near. The cobblestones glistened with moisture, emitting soft splashes beneath my hurried steps as I pursued the carriage. It maintained its unwavering pace, seemingly oblivious to my pursuit, neither hastening nor slackening its tempo. Through winding alleys and past slumbering abodes I followed, my exhalations forming wispy clouds in the crisp night air. The fog thickened around us, obscuring all save the dark form ahead and the path beneath my feet. Time assumed a fluidity, stretching and contracting akin to taffy pulled by unseen hands. I lost track of the duration I walked, following the unchanging rhythm of hooves and wheels. At some juncture, I discerned the unfamiliarity of my surroundings. The houses bore an antiquated air, their architecture subtly divergent from familiarity. The streetlights emitted an eerie, bluish luminescence that failed to reach the ground, and the fog adopted an almost pearlescent quality. Nevertheless, the carriage persisted in its relentless forward march, and I persisted in my pursuit. The wheel sounds metamorphosed, assuming an almost melodic essence. If I listened intently, I could discern a concealed melody within the rhythm, an ancient, melancholic tune akin to a half-remembered lullaby. The fragrance of lilacs intensified, mingling with other alien scents, evoking pressed flowers within aged tomes, and the musty sweetness of attic trunks crammed with forgotten memories. Lost in that dreamlike reverie, I might have trailed it eternally had I not stumbled on an uneven cobblestone. The momentary disruption shattered something intangible, and upon lifting my gaze, the carriage had vanished. The fog dissipated, revealing my familiar street, my abode merely yards away. The nearby church tower tolled midnight, its resonant tones pervading the now quiet atmosphere. That night, I returned to my journal, appending another entry to my burgeoning collection of observations. As I wrote, I espied a small object on my desk hitherto unnoticed, a single, flawlessly preserved lilac blossom, its petals a surreal hue of purple-black, seemingly shifting and dancing in the lamplight. Even now, months hence, the carriage maintains its nocturnal circuits. I have acclimated to its presence, finding a peculiar solace in its unchanging routine. On sleepless nights, I perch by my window and observe its passage, tallying the seconds between its appearances and pondering its destination. Various theories have taken root in my mind. Perhaps it is a vestige of a bygone era, ensnared in an eternal loop akin to a needle on a record player caught in a groove. Or perchance it serves an incomprehensible purpose, upholding some vital equilibrium in the fabric of reality through perpetual motion. I have even speculated whether it awaits something or someone. The lilac blossom rests in a diminutive glass vial on my desk, seemingly impervious to time's passage. It neither withers nor fades, and sometimes, in the dead of night, I fancy I detect a faint hum emanating from it, echoing the half-remembered melody of the carriage wheels. Tonight, as I inscribe these words, the rain persists in its gentle percussion against my window, and I anticipate the imminent sound of wheels on cobblestones. A fragment of me ponders the consequences should I choose to trail the carriage anew, allowing myself to be swept up by its rhythm until we reach the enigmatic terminus of its eternal journey. Yet, for now, I simply listen to the approaching cadence of hooves and wheels, sensing the gentle tug of slumber at the fringes of my consciousness. The carriage continues its unending circuit, wheels spinning, horses stepping in perfect harmony, transporting its enigmatic cargo through the mist-veiled streets of a realm existing betwixt reality and dreams. Story 29. The gentle sound of rain tapping against my window created a soothing melody in the room. I found myself seated in my grandmother's ancient rocking chair, staring out at the droplets as they danced down the glass, tracing intricate patterns with a hypnotic grace. In my hands, I cradled a worn leather-bound journal, its weight heavy with untold secrets, a relic I stumbled upon while sifting through her attic after she had passed away. The journal held within its pages the tale of a peculiar autumn that had touched her youth, penned in her elegant flowing script. The rain outside seemed to echo her words, creating a serene harmony that enveloped me as I delved into her story, letting it wash over me like a distant memory. My dearest journal, the morning I arrived in the village, a thick blanket of fog draped the earth, clinging to the ground like a silent whisper. The air carried the crisp bite of autumn, infused with the sweet fragrance of fallen leaves and distant wood smoke. Yet, amidst this familiar setting, something immediately caught my attention, or rather, the absence of something. As I strolled down the cobblestone street, my boots softly clicking against the well-worn stones, I noticed a peculiar absence of shadows. The morning sun bathed the quaint buildings in its golden glow, but where shadows should have painted the ground, there was only emptiness, a void where darkness should have lingered. The villagers went about their daily routines with a serene nonchalance, their movements fluid and dreamlike, as if they floated just above the earth's surface. It was as though shadows had never existed in this place. I had come to stay with my aunt for the winter months, though she was not truly a blood relative, but an old family friend who insisted on being called Aunt Margaret. Her home stood at the village's edge, a Victorian masterpiece with intricate gingerbread trim and windows that seemed to hold ancient secrets within their panes. The interior of her house exuded the comforting sense of cinnamon and aged books, with dark, polished wooden furniture that gleamed softly in the lamplight. Yet even within the warmth of her home, shadows were conspicuously absent. The furniture appeared to hover weightlessly, disconnected from the laws of reality. "You've noticed it, haven't you?" Aunt Margaret's voice, soft and melodic, accompanied the delicate clink of porcelain as she placed a cup of tea before me. "The shadows?" I nodded, my gaze fixed on the tendrils of steam spiraling from my tea. What happened to them? She settled into her armchair with practiced grace, smoothing her skirts as she spoke. They left us 3 generations ago. Some say they were taken by a wandering merchant with a penchant for collecting peculiar curiosities. Others believe they grew weary of mimicking our every move and sought more intriguing companions elsewhere. The truth likely lies somewhere in the shadows, pardon the pun, as truths often do. As the days unfolded, I encountered more enigmatic aspects of the village. The birds sang unfamiliar melodies that seemed to resonate from distant lands. Flowers bloomed in defiance of the autumn chill, their petals shimmering with an ethereal light untouched by the sun's rays. By night, the stars twinkled closer, their luminance casting no shadows. The moon, full and unchanging, hung low in the sky, a silent observer of this peculiar realm. Time itself flowed differently in this shadowless haven, a languid stream of golden moments that stretched and shimmered like honey. The villagers had adapted seamlessly to their shadowless existence, using it to create wondrous works of art that defied logic. The local glassblower crafted pieces that captured and reflected light without casting shadows. The town seamstress fashioned fabrics that seemed to radiate their own inner glow. Yet, it was the children who truly thrived in this world devoid of shadows. To them, it was the only reality they had ever known, reflected in their games that defied conventional notions of light and dark. They played games of light catching, using mirrors to bounce sunlight between them, and their drawings depicted a world where objects floated freely without the anchor of shadows. One evening, as I assisted Aunt Margaret in her garden, I broached the subject of restoring the shadows to the village. "Oh, indeed," she murmured, delicately tending to a rose bush ablaze with sunset-hued blooms. When the shadows first departed, the village elders embarked on a quest to bring them back. They sought counsel from sages and scientists, mystics and scholars alike. However, we eventually realized a fundamental truth. The shadows had not been stolen from us. They had chosen to depart. She straightened, dusting soil from her hands. And perhaps it was for the best. Shadows are not merely darkness. They are imprints of light, remnants of where light once dwelled, but has since departed. Perhaps we needed to learn to hold on to our memories in a different light. As winter drew near, the chill in the air intensified, yet the village remained a beacon of warmth and light. The first snow fell silently, each flake a miniature mirror reflecting and refracting light in a mesmerizing display that illuminated the night sky. The absence of shadows imbued the snow-covered landscape with an otherworldly beauty, a scene straight out of a dream, pristine and untouched. I began to comprehend why Aunt Margaret had chosen to make this village her home. There was a tranquility here that transcended the mere absence of shadows, a sense that the rules of reality had softened and mellowed at the edges. The baker continued to knead his dough each morning, his loaves emitting a subtle luminescence when pulled from the oven. The school children diligently pursued their studies, their books occasionally whispering ancient tales in empty rooms. The elderly man continued to sweep his doorstep, his broom gathering motes of starlight along with the dust. On my final night in the village, Aunt Margaret and I sat on her porch, sipping tea that carried a hint of moonbeams. The air was crisp and clear, the stars gleaming brightly above us in a celestial dance. "Will you write about us?" she inquired softly, her voice barely a murmur in the night. "Yes," I replied, "though I fear few will believe such a tale." She smiled, the warmth in her eyes crinkling the corners. "That is of no consequence. Some stories are not meant to be believed. They are meant to be felt, like the memory of light on a cloudy day." As I concluded this journal entry, I felt the lingering warmth of that shadowless haven within my heart. On quiet nights when the moon hung full in the sky, I fancied I could perceive my own shadow growing fainter, as if recalling a time when it too had contemplated departure. The rain outside persisted in its gentle lullaby, and as I gazed at my reflection in the window, a peculiar sensation washed over me. For a fleeting moment, it appeared as though my shadow hesitated, wavering as if deciding whether to linger or fade away. I closed the journal with deliberate care, allowing my grandmother's words to cocoon me like autumn leaves drifting to the ground. And in that moment, I pondered if somewhere, in a village untouched by shadows, her story continued to unfold in whispers of light. Story 30. The soft melody of raindrops against my window had transformed into a soothing lullaby, weaving a tapestry of ancient secrets with each gentle tap. In my grandmother's house, a place steeped in enigmatic charm, I had noticed a subtle shift in its essence since becoming its owner 3 months ago. The rain tonight fell with a tender touch, veiling reality in a misty embrace. The weathered floorboards murmured beneath my steps, whispering tales of days long past. The familiar scent of old books and lavender lingered in the air, a comforting blend evoking memories of tranquil afternoons spent in the library with my grandmother. My nightly ritual had taken on a meditative quality, a thorough check of every room, ensuring windows were closed and doors locked. The house, spacious yet intimate, exuded a warm ambiance illuminated by vintage sconces that cast dancing shadows on the wallpaper. As I neared the end of the hallway upstairs, a shift in the atmosphere caught my attention. The air grew heavier, carrying a metallic tang reminiscent of impending storms. Standing before my grandmother's study door, I noticed a newfound grandeur in its stature. The mahogany surface gleamed in the dim light, the brass doorknob radiating an inner glow amidst the shadows. Running my hand over the textured wood, a peculiar sensation crept over me. The grain felt alive, as if awakening from a deep slumber. Despite the summer warmth, the door felt unusually cold to the touch. Turning the knob, it yielded with an eerie smoothness, swinging open silently to reveal the study beyond. Initially appearing ordinary, the room held a subtle wrongness, akin to a skewed painting. Shadows seemed denser, more substantial, and the air carried a hint of sweetness mingling with the familiar scents of leather and aged books. Stepping further into the study, the floorboards sighed beneath my weight, their echoes lingering unnaturally. Antique books lined the shelves, their titles shifting in the dim light, as if in constant flux. One particular volume drew my gaze, its dark binding absorbing rather than reflecting the room's glow. As my hand reached out, a subtle movement behind the desk caught my eye, shadows rippling like disturbed waters. The room grew colder, carrying scents of damp earth and autumn leaves, drowning out the sound of rain. The door clicked shut behind me, though I hadn't touched it. Startled, I turned to find it altered, adorned with fluid symbols that seemed to flow like liquid. Yet, in the blink of an eye, it reverted to its familiar form. Returning my focus to the bookshelf, the once prominent volume had vanished, leaving a vacant space that neighboring books seemed to converge towards. A whisper of movement brushed past, carrying a hint of lavender, my grandmother's signature fragrance. The room cocooned me in an intimate embrace, the windows now reflecting only darkness, isolating me from the outside world. Sinking into my grandmother's worn armchair, the shadows in the room choreographed a deliberate dance, as if inscribing cryptic messages on the walls. Time lost its grip as I watched the shadows weave intricate patterns, the darkness outside now possessing a velvety texture, stirred by unseen currents. Unspoken words filled the air, laden with memories both familiar and foreign, blending into a tapestry of forgotten tales. Within the reflective windows, elusive shapes hinted at ethereal beings, moving with a grace beyond mortal comprehension. The study door stood as a sentinel, its significance growing with each passing moment. It ceased to be a mere entrance, evolving into a gateway to a realm steeped in ancient wisdom. The brass doorknob pulsed rhythmically, beckoning me towards the threshold of dreams and possibilities. As night deepened, reality melded with the realm of dreams. Shadows coalesced into intricate designs, speaking a language of cosmic import. Lavender intertwined with other scents, evoking memories of childhood and distant realms. The darkness beyond radiated an inner luminescence, teeming with enigmatic shapes hinting at boundless narratives. The rain's cadence shifted into a haunting melody, resonating with a familiarity that transcended time. Standing before the rippling door, the wood grain flowing like liquid, I felt a profound sense of recognition. The door yielded noiselessly, unveiling a space suffused with fluid darkness brimming with latent promises. Whispers echoed from within, carrying fragments of bygone voices and melodies. The scent of lavender mingled with starlight and old tomes, enveloping me in a cocoon of nostalgia and wonder. Transfixed at the threshold, the darkness beckoned with tendrils of shadow, offering an embrace both comforting and unknown. The study faded into the background as the doorway commanded my attention, blurring the lines between reality and possibility. Whether I crossed the threshold or lingered in the study remained a mystery. The door embodying a duality of presence and absence, a portal to realms beyond comprehension. On quiet rainy nights, the door remains a silent witness to the mysteries that dwell within. It stands as both an invitation and a riddle, leading to a darkness that may hold a different kind of light. In that infinite space of twilight, perhaps my grandmother still resides, surrounded by shadows whispering tales of ages long past and yet to come. The rain persists, a reminder of the enigmatic beauty that lies beyond the door, where mysteries are not to be unraveled but embraced. The darkness beckons, offering a glimpse into a realm where reality and dreams intertwine in a dance of eternal possibility.